Hello, welcome back to the Double Swing. Yes, we're here with another year, another season. Our reigning champ Yumi returns to defend his crown. He's not wearing it. He didn't buy himself one. I thought that was a bit of a scam. I was hoping for a whole coronation, you to obnoxiously boast about finally, the tides turning. Your genius would be respected and proclaimed, but no, nothing.
That's not on me. You're called King T. I'm not King Yumi. I don't need the crown.
It's okay. You're king of the season. You're king of something, and that's what I thought you'd really lean into. But yeah, new year, blank slate, nothing to recap. Well, I recapped what there is to recap. Yumi won. Like, that's all there is to talk about. Obviously, we had that end of year show, which some of you watched. Thank you for chiming in and leaving your comments. It's always appreciated. But we can get straight into this one. There's nothing to rant on about. We can just introduce our guests. Freddie, I wasn't sure what to call you. You're called Rannarr on screen. I'm going to call you Freddie the entire show.
Probably
How you
easier.
doing?
I'm doing great. You've picked me off the streets of Budapest, so I get my debut into the KingT channel. Long-time viewer. When I'm working the events, I always go, okay, I'm going to steal all of his ideas and just regurgitate them like they're mine. But no, I'm doing very good. I've woken up without the plague for the first time in a few days. So yeah, honestly,
Nice.
just kind of excited to talk about Counter-Strike because I don't think I've really talked about it in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, if people didn't know, that is how I scout fresh members or talent people for this show. I get really drunk with them in a karaoke bar, and then at the end of it go, he'd be kind of funny. Put him on the dock.
I was certainly one of the knights of all time.
It was
Conversation over.
it was no need to elaborate. But yeah, we're doing this members only live. Obviously, if you're watching this and you're not a member, you're watching it after the full release. So if you want to see it, it's only 2 days in advance, but still something. Make sure to become a member yourselves. But yeah, let's get straight into this. We have 32 teams to pick from, and you may have noticed the awkward 50-50 ball in the middle of our usual octagon selections. That's going to be a bonus pick. We're going to do a bonus round of picks at the end just to try and get more teams picked, more teams selected, make this episode a little more interesting. There are 32. We'd have left 20 on the table if we hadn't added that extra round. So that's for a little spice, a little flavor. It's a completely wildcard pick. You can take whomever you'd like. And I'm actually going first. So I'm going to take a favorite. I think it's sensible to start there. I'm going to choose a team as well that haven't made changes or haven't been predicted to make big changes. I know there's a few teams unconfirmed still going into this event, mostly on the underdog side. Yeah, I'm going to start with the big dogs. The team of the year, the team that believe they should have player of the year, third best player of the year, coach of the year, IGL of the year. At some point, you did lose some games, lads. I mean, chill out. Don't get too offended when we don't all pick your coach as coach of the year. But I'm taking Vitality. They have been... Yeah, the second half of the year last year wasn't perfect, as we all noticed. Furia managed to get some wins in there. The era ended as it was proclaimed by a lot of people. It's fine. Vitality, they won the major. They looked like themselves again in that major, and they're one of the few teams that's not going to have to go through some long, obnoxious rebuild process, some complicated integration of a new IGL. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. It's them, it's Furia, and that's about it in terms of teams who have all their questions already answered. I'm loving this pick. I don't think Zoe should be player of the year. I think he's probably going to end up with it from HLTV. That's going to look even better, in terms of my selection going into this event. Hopefully they don't get upset in the first round by some nobody underdog. We don't know the matchups yet, but I'm feeling pretty confident. I don't know about you guys, but this should be the consensus first pick.
Can I just so this is a point that I just want to say for every favorite, like kind of the top 8 or whatever teams. Do you really think they're going into this tournament like, right, lads, Blast Bounty online, we're playing against fucking sinners? Who even are they? Like, oh yeah, let's really take this seriously. Let's buckle down. The first online game of the year. Blast Open London, Vitality actually did badly online because it was like M80 and Fnatic upset them. And it's like, I still think Vitality will go through, don't get me wrong, because just obviously, but I would say for every single one of these teams that are like the Furia, the Falcons, the FaZe, the Vitality, really watch out for those first round games because they're not going to be taking it as seriously as they would at the major that you were saying they looked themselves at. So I think that's a kind of a premise I want to just set down for whatever team we talk about as like the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's not it's not uncommon for the first event to be kind of treated as active practice for a lot of teams, and maybe they don't take it the most seriously, especially when, like you said, the first stage of this tournament is online, so there's less investment. You don't feel like you're there. It's just another day at the office. So I'm kind of with you on that. I think, obviously because we don't know what the picks are, it can be a little bit harder to determine whether or not an upset is even possible, because Vitality will hold themselves to a minimum standard that a lot of other teams just can't deal with, actually. So, yeah, I mean, Vitality should be fine. They were the team that really, I think, carried me last year because I kept picking them and they kept winning things. I don't hate the pick. I can't really just based on that premise.
Yeah, just to push back, obviously, I don't care how obscure the opponent is or how ridiculously pointless the game seems. Vitality can accidentally beat 90% of the field, including the favorites.
It's very fair.
That's the problem.
Very fair.
I don't feel fear when I watch Vitality enter a game with eyeballers. There's a world where ZywOo plays with the wrong settings, like his mouse on the wall like this, and tries to play, and he still is the top fragger on that server. I'm not interested in that kind of upset being realistic. They'd have to care so little. They'd literally have to skip the game to play Dota in order to actually go out in the first round at this event. So I'm very happy with that. There's no reason to believe in anyone else. We can wrap that up.
I've got kind of one final point of I completely agree. I don't see JW out-AWPing ZywOo in the big 2026. But it's I think what the one common theme that every tier 1 enjoyer always forgets about these tier 2 teams is their tactical depth probably isn't that deep. But the one thing that these teams do have is they all shoot hard. Every single one of these teams on their day shoot at a top 5 level. And the reason why they're not at that level is because it's not consistent. That's what we see at Paris, the majors, all these random teams make it through to playoffs. Is okay, it's because they're all individually amazing. So that is the one thing of I think it's very unfair to say oh, ZywOo will just be able to walk over them if he's playing his D game. Is yes, but if every single player on a Sinners or a Monte or an Inner Circle, we saw in LAN Inner Circle do exactly that. If every single player is on their A game, that's when you got to be kind of careful. But that's when it's all these if, buts, and maybes come in.
Yeah, I mean, the devil's advocate side of things is, I mean, Rops is a player that if he's not motivated or he doesn't feel in rhythm, can sometimes look a little lost or off tempo with the rest of the squad. FlameZ is also another piece that sometimes kind of goes, or just based on the role and the willingness to be so headstrong, he sometimes ends up in 1 in 14 score lines or 2 in, these are just some of the angles through which sometimes Vitality do fall off and have their struggles, because FlameZ's an opener and Rops is a closer. The middle portion, that's where you're looking at people like ZywOo and Apex Mezzi sometimes to create chances. But if there are ways that Vitality are going to come in a little lackluster, I'd probably be looking at those two as a real litmus test from that early game. Because if they don't show up, I feel like there's an early problem. Another season 2 start maybe for Vitality.
Fair enough.
I'm actually just looking at here. Vitality, Mezzi's played 3 online events with Vitality in his whole career. They don't play.
Crazy.
They don't play.
Yeah.
No, 2 of them last year. Then it's all the blasts open to lands. These teams don't play online Counter-Strike, and that is, I think people really discount the argument of FUT. How did they get good? By playing 700 games of online Counter-Strike in a year. It's that does matter,
Sure it does. Yeah, we looked at it last year. They came into Bounty, didn't look that impressive against Metasport, gave a lot of Metasport fans very false hope that Metasport would be magically
Was that
fantastic.
with Hampus? Was that when Hampus joined?
I think it was Hampus.
On Mirage, I remember watching that Metasport side do that to Vitality on Mirage, and then a week later lose to Mirage to I don't fucking know, Ruby or something. And I was well, okay guys, what are we doing?
Yeah, it was a bollocks sort of Hampus win. Oh, not even win. They lost 13-11 on that Mirage.
It was overtime?
No, 13-11. There's Hampus
Oh,
show
okay.
stuff where like Hampus is calling around
Yeah.
himself, making plays, and you're like, oh, could this? And no, of course it doesn't. In the long run, it just doesn't, and it hasn't for years. So yeah, I'm in a I think a very happy place with this pick. I think the one concern that was raised to me on Monday was that, hey, Vitality did it all. How do they have motivation coming into this season to keep winning? And I'm like, basic professionalism just dictates that you try a little bit and therefore make it through this stage. I mean, we'll get concerned about sort of winning streaks later.
Money, legacy, achievements. What motivates these people?
Bro, Mezzi had a child. Like, he's like, okay, this child's gonna be set for college. His grandchildren's gonna be set for college. You know what? I'll win another major, and then my lineage is set.
Exactly.
and then he looks around. He's like, no, the cost of living, no, the taxes.
Winning major or sticker money versus the British government. Who wins?
Bro, it was.
Win.
I
That's
remember
a tough one.
the Danish guys, when they won a major, I think they got taxed like 70% of it or some shit. It's like it was just poof, there goes your money.
Maybe that's why I was so invested in esports.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's the only
Is it
reason.
my turn?
We are coming to your pick now. You have, pretty open slate. The way this has been set up, by the way, visually, we are unveiling, so the top 8 favorites are on top of the bottom 8 favorites. So Pain were not the number 1 seed, if anyone's joining late or wasn't paying attention.
They're not?
They're just
Aw.
they're just the one below Vitality. So yeah, Freddie, you got everything open to you. Who do you like?
So I think you kind of expected this when you brought me on. That I wasn't going to sit here and be like, yes, I think Vitality are going to be favorites. I think FUT are going to be underdogs. Okay. I'm going to go a bit just to mix it up. I'm going to go for underdog first.
Okay.
And this pick is going to make sense when I pick my favorites as well. So my first underdog pick is going to be Monte.
Monte?
Which, yes, I'm going for Monte. And I've got quite the explanation for this. So, firstly, as many people will have seen, there is a certain Lithuanian Ryu who has been rumored to join Astralis.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's been trialing with Astralis, but I have it on good record that by the time of the recording, it isn't official. Fuzi is going to be joining. Ryu, not sure. So that really is actually kind of the whole premise of this, of if Ryu's not joining, Monte. So that's
Right.
out the way. Ryu to Astralis, maybe happening, maybe not. Why do I think Monte are a legit underdog? Because they come in, they're not even it's not even like they're one of the higher rated underdogs. They're really at the lower end. And the roster by large, you're thinking Bemis in 2025. You're thinking UK, what are we doing? UK IGL, who's still at university, didn't even know that was a thing. This roster's been seriously impressing me ever since the addition of Azuu and Bemis. Their first event, they made it to the finals of Draculam, and that was the second time. And then they also won a LAN recently in Stockholm. And the reason why I'm bringing up those LAN runs is because both times they were pretty, just legitimately impressive LAN runs. First event with Azuu and Bemis, they beat Passion UA, they beat Gentlemates, lose to Fnatic, beat Ents, lose to Fnatic. And then they do the exact same in Stockholm, where they beat FUT in the final, they beat OG in the semifinals. These are really, really legitimate wins against the best teams in Tier 2. And all while that's happening, I mentioned Bemis in 2026. Everyone's thinking, didn't even know he's still alive. Well, that dude's having a renaissance. He is playing him and Ryu, this Lithuanian Lithuanian Counter-Strike. That's a thing apparently as well. These two together play so well off each other and are the main reason why this team has success. Afro as well. It's those three. The main issue I do have with Monte is actually Azuu right now. He can't be getting out-fragged by Gizmo. Because Azuu, ever since the whole time I watched him in UK Counter-Strike, was always the first time I noticed him was like in an ESL Prem qualifier in like 21, and he drops 40 as like an Inters player on an advanced team, and it's like, oh my god, this guy is like the next thing. So throughout my whole career, it's always been Azuru's a really big, heavy hitter. He hasn't been showing that necessarily on Monte, which actually surprises me considering the successes that Monte have been doing so well, specifically on LAM and against these really legit refined tier 2 teams without Azuru sometimes. So coming into this event, firstly, Ryu has to stay on the team. Secondly, it has to be Ryu Bemis as a rifling duo, dropping like a 1.15, 1.20. Afro has to be up there. And then Azuru. And I think that's what this team has been able to deal with up until this stage, but they need Azuru. This is a team that I really believe in. They all seem like best mates. I met them all in Stockholm, and they all get on like a house on fire. They've got super legit victories, and this is a team that I certainly believe is going to get better and better. And then they've got Kakafu, a really experienced coach, to blend this all together. Like I like Monte a lot, and I think they could seriously give a team a run for their money.
Yeah, I think if you're making a case for Monte, I actually have to look mostly at the coach and maybe at someone like Afro. You know, I mean, a lot of teams don't have great AWPers. I'll hold my hand up. I understand that. But I have always thought of him as a bit of a deficit player. And as much as I want to back Azu, he has just kind of been poor. Like his stages of development, because you're saying you saw him like an ESEA Prem game. I remember watching him in Insomnia and already being very impressed with just like his decision making. He wasn't someone that overswung. He took very smart duels. And I was thinking, okay, this guy's going to be like a really tempered, steady growth player. And then he joined Endpoint and then was playing a bit more star playery. And now it feels like he's caught between whether he wants to play like the textbook way or make the star play.
Completely agree.
And makes the wrong choices a lot. So it's like his branch should, or his development should have been steady, and instead it's created a branch where it's sort of like anchoring him down a little bit. I almost feel like he doesn't know who he's supposed to be as a player anymore, and I'm not sure Monte necessarily know how to bring out the better side. But maybe Kakafu can figure it out, provided they keep Ryu as well.
Like it's a lot of provided.
There's a lot of conditions that need to go right here. I mean, there's this. Usually these are drafted right in like reverse seeding order. So like the last team gets the first pick, and you go up to them. They're like the 7th pick in that order, I think, or 6th pick in that order. They get a decently open sort of field. Maybe by that point, all the layups at the lower end of the favorites section, are taken. Actually, this is all done. It's all done by VRS, so it's going to be more confusing for me to translate. Because I use HLTV ranking, which is for me more reliable to do my layouts for favorites and underdogs. So I'm not sure who they actually get to pick from, but they'll have some probably okay picks to look at. Some teams they probably like their matchup with. Think that maybe they're a bit iffy. There's some player problems, and if they've kept Rio and Astralis haven't got them, and Astralis is there to be picked, of course you're going to go and pick them, right? Like that'd be brilliant, but. No, I don't.
That would be very weird because Ryu has been playing with them in practice.
Exactly.
So it's like
it's almost a conflict of interest. It's perfect. That's how you cheese
That's
a win.
That's a thing in esports. That's a thing.
It's something that Richard Lewis always bangs on about, but everyone else knows isn't real. So I'd be curious to see what they go with. I'm also curious to see what roster they even show up with, because if there's no Ryu, I'm out. I'm out. Like, I'm not interested at all. I think that's just a catastrophe. So I admire your boldness. It's a great platform to talk about Azuru, but it's not a great pick for me.
So I want to actually bring up what Yumi was saying, so I completely forgot to mention about Afro. Afro, I have never seen him as a good AWPer. And I think that's kind of what you were saying, Michael, of like, I don't look at Afro and I think like excellent AWPer. Specifically that DreamHack knockout, bro, he was blowing people up. And this isn't like, these aren't plumbers. Like they were playing a very good 500, a Gen 1. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. An OG where it's like, okay, sure, it was their first event, but it's like, it's still Flammus, Cadian.
Yeah, they're a team that should figure it out, right?
Yeah, and FUT, who had literally just won a LAN by beating like 17 teams. So it's like, Afro, that was for me the moment where I looked at this roster, because I think before I was a little bit nervous of it just being the Bemis and Ryu show. and Afro like is there but isn't quite. That was the first event where I was like, okay, Afro's got this. But then also accentuated the scare of like Gizme's got it. He can keep up. Can Afro? Can Azuu? That's like, I've been really scared of Azuu for a while, but Gizme, that man got 98% in an exam on Thursday morning, flew to Sweden, and then won a LAN. And this guy isn't doing some like Mickey Mouse. He's doing like computer science at King's or something. Like
Hell yeah.
He's not doing business studies at the University of something I've never heard of. That's
he's
apparently
doing
in London. Like
he's like, yeah, like this man, like,
Ravensbourne.
and that's also another thing I've seen him prep. So lower teams prep more for bigger teams, and
Yes.
bigger teams don't prep more for lower teams. They prep less. That's something that specifically Gizme has explained to me of like when we go into a playoffs, when I was playing on Monte Gen, we're playing as a big. I will watch every single game Big have played for the last 4 months. And that's what he's going to do. That's the advantage they have of picking into someone. Gizme, like, that's one thing he can do is prep. And I think that's something that I really believe that, like, they're going to go into that game and they're just going to know everything. But circling back to what you said, Mr. T, does that matter?
It may not. It may not. And yeah, I think the Afro of it all is fascinating. I think this afternoon, because spoiler, if you're not watching this live, we're doing this Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to have a whole thing about AWPing and stats and the partial responsibility HLTV hold over the perception of AWPing being negative in 2025. Because if you just look at the raw stats coming out of Afro in 2025, or at least since he joined Monte, you're like, holy crap, this is actually pretty good. Like, he's actually like pretty decent.
Very
if you
good.
ignore HLTV's little telltale okay versus good thing, where they don't tell you why it's so low on AWPers, it's because it's relative to the eco adjustment. It's not actually relative to the raw stat. And when you eco adjust AWPers KPRs, they just fall off the fucking face of the earth due to the eco adjustment. He's actually playing some of his best CS statistically that he's played in a long time. Sure, part of that is the competition. He's got very few reps against anyone in top 30 whilst playing on Monte. But I agree with you on the legitimacy of some of those LAN opponents and some of those LAN wins. There's something there. If they can keep it together, there's something there. I just think it's too many ifs. And especially in an event like this where favourites, underdogs, they're all worth 1 point. It's going to be rough for me to take that kind of leap.
Also, if it's Bemis making a comeback, I'm kind of here for it. I always thought that guy should have been better in his tier 2 opportunities in the first wave, but he's now, if he's getting his legs under him, that's great.
His
also,
opportunities were
I will say,
into the breach.
very fun.
Exactly.
He's also very fun. I will say that man. He's a dark horse.
Yeah, well, he was the telltale sort of example of stop promoting random teenagers before they've had a chance to develop a little bit. That was a terrible idea.
He's only 22. He's like 22, 23.
22.
He's still a child. Like,
that highlights how terrible those initial moves were to put him straight into Mouse, straight into FaZe. Like, those were terrible ideas. But yeah, let's get on to Yumi. You have back-to-back picks. You can pick anything you want. You could fill out all your favorites right now, or all your underdogs.
Right. I'm going for high-value targets because it's going to be a while before I pick again.
okay.
And so I'm going to just lock in Spirit as a favorite.
Fair enough.
I'm glad you're consistent.
Yes, I want this. I have wanted it for a long time. Zontix is back in the roster. Magix is in-game leading. I'm not so sure about that part. But we have gotten rid of Shui, and we have now, an entourage of players that will actually be able to play the roles that they're designated. You know, I'm expecting Tanir to be a bit more explosive and more playmaking. I'm expecting Donk to, go in tandem with that. And I'm expecting Zontix to lock down late rounds, hold his extremity on a map, and for Shiro to come in clutch. Magix can actually go back to playing his roles to a certain degree. He's going to take some from Chopper because being in the middle of the map is often where a lot of in-game leaders want to be, just so that they have a better feel for how rounds are developing. So I'm expecting a little bit of crossover, maybe between Zontix and Magix in terms of responsibilities. But this is a team that should work, and maybe it's too early. But I imagine if they're making this transition with Magix, they're probably pracking like crazy, where other teams are maybe a little bit more, it's online games, we're playing noobs, what's going to happen? I feel like Spirit are probably a bit more concerned. They want to hit the ground running, and I'm actually banking on them having put in that extra lead time where other teams are maybe kicking it back a little bit.
Yeah, they've got a
I
lot
completely
to integrate. Freddie, I want your opinion on this, because this was the big talk of last year, obviously.
Okay, hit me.
Chopper. Is he the worst IGL to have ever spoken Russian, or was he mid, or was he actually low-key good? Like, where did you stand on that spectrum? Because there was a variety of different opinions and thoughts, mostly negative, though.
I think this ties in with the issue I find with esports takes, or just, I guess, takes in general of like, why does everything have to be the best and the worst? Like, we're saying an IGL who won a major and like multiple events, and then even preceding that has like made major qualifiers, like major playoffs. Like, we're sitting here being like, this guy's a dog. It's like, he's obviously not. And it's like, everyone's like, yeah, he's the worst. It's like, no. It's just like this. Like, why do we have to keep on going for the best and the worst? It's like, yeah, he wasn't great, and like, not gonna lie, he was pretty dog with his like individual ability, but he was obviously a decent IGL, and I think also like a captain figure in that team. So I'm like, I don't think he was the worst. Definitely wasn't the best, but I'd put him more upwards on that like middle scale, like kind of like leaning towards like good, but more like center right.
As
You
we all
heard it here
aspire to
first.
be.
The right is good. We're not making it political,
Wait.
but the right is good. Moral absolutist Freddie
Hey,
comes through.
he started with center. He started with center, and that ain't a crime.
But no, we understand what you mean, obviously.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a fair take. I remember before Donk was a thing, right? 2022, I make a video, talking through Spirit's like complete anti-strat of Furia in the major quarterfinal. How they absolutely embarrassed them on Vertigo, a map Furia loved to play. Abusing their terrible mid holds or absentee mid holds, and really, playing a strong game that wasn't just. And you can't be like, oh, it's the Halley game plan. This is before Halley. Like, this isn't even a Halley thing. So there was clearly something to Chopper. There was some juice. So yeah, I always thought that was always greatly exaggerated.
What other? Sorry, just like who else is in the conversation then? Like a Boomich or Na'Vi? Is that the idea? And then like, are we going even further back to like the older guys?
Oh, in terms of who we're comparing Chopper to, or who could be replacing Chopper? No, that's always the question.
Just the general conversation of like, so are we talking like, are we bringing Zeus into the picture?
Like, as far as, I mean, I think you're harping on the idea of him being the worst Russian-speaking IGL. That was more of just that's hyperbole from me. Like, I bombarded endlessly with this idea that Chopper is dreadful and the key problem in Spirit, and there's nothing else we could ever address.
I don't get that personally. Yeah, no, I actually heard Richard Lewis talk about that on this podcast, and I was like, okay, that feels like a bit much, really. Like, I feel like we're pointing the blame at something, but not really fully like grasping why.
I think the reason people are mostly critical of Spirit, in the same way that people were ready to pull the pitchforks out for Nafany, is that he has good pieces on the roster. He has Shiro, who's like in a top 4 at a very, if you're not being generous, conversation for AWPers in the world, and you have Donk, who is arguably the number 1 this year for people that are curious. I mean, he's putting up he's a statistical anomaly.
Yes.
So you have these 2 round-winning players that can win you games, can carry tournaments, and you're not actually getting that many trophies. People are going to be a bit more critical, and it's it is just that's also tied to Shiro, I think, in a way. Shiro's tempo and the way that he plays, he sometimes doesn't give opportunities for other pieces to necessarily step up or feel like they have extra room to work with. Some AWPers create chances. Shiro is someone that secures chances that have been given. And I do think that there is some onus on the in-game leader to try and do something with that, but I do think that he's been restricted by Halley. I mean, if you listen to some of the comms that Spirit have, when things go wrong, it seems like Halley's just like, guys, why didn't you just stick to the game plan? Why didn't you do, like, in a timeout, I called to do this, and we do this. It's like, players are going to do what feels intuitive to them in the moment, even with an underlying game plan. If they feel like that's right, you don't want robots running through the server just doing exactly everything that was procedurally generated. Yeah, that's not how you play Counter-Strike. And I do think there was probably an element of that where, Halley is just it's being a little forbearing and just trying to control the game like it's chess, but it's far more random than that. So
Yeah.
I don't think Chopper was the problem necessarily, but Hallie might have someone who's a bit more complicit in Magic's to try and get all this game plan to work. And maybe Hallie's a genius. I don't know. You know, somewhere in the middle, I think.
It's probably why they have Magics, because they probably wouldn't get someone who wouldn't be complicit. Like I assume the whole idea is like, and it's something I think I said to you guys beforehand, is like, I believe a lot of these coaches are basically the IGLs, not gonna lie. There's a few frauds out there, a few little IGL frauds to get a lot of credit for the coaches. And I assume it's gonna be the case of like, this is what we're doing, Magics. You speak, I tell you what to say.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it all works out, because we've had a lot of big sort of, well, I've had some huge takes, some huge reactions to Spirit Moves in the past. On this one, I didn't understand the euphoria. Was very anti that sort of reaction.
Right, yeah.
I just think that, hey, if it does all work out better, and maybe we can go from, you know, Donk getting 4.6 trade kills per 24 to 5.4. Hell, maybe we could manufacture more stats for him and then get Magic's kicks faster. Like that'd be great.
Yeah.
I've just thought, because the event is online, right? Could Hallie be like worm tongue over Magic's setup, just whispering everything to say?
Oh, are they allowed to actually wait? Are they allowed to just have coaches in?
No,
I'm never sure how online events are supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Yes, every TO has a different stance on it. I can't remember what Blast is, because I mean they have to have cameras on. That much I know. They have to have 2 angles on the camera potentially.
Is that the ESL thing?
That might be an ESL thing.
Which is cool.
So,
The coach one is not, I think for all the tier 2 online events, it's just like, yeah, coach can be in the server. Who cares?
yeah,
Like,
I mean
he speaks.
you can't necessarily regulate it unless you're actually like screen recording everybody's setup or remote desktoping, because they could literally be like, oh yeah, we're in TeamSpeak, but just each other, and it's like on the slide they've got Discord open as well.
Just the major. I'm pretty sure just the majors, the ones where coaches can't talk.
Okay.
Well, and other S tier events where you're on LAN and they regulate it like the
Online.
major, so-
Sorry, I
yeah.
meant more like online.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah, we'll see how they play. That's going to be the big if. I think it's an interesting pick, because obviously there's always been the threat. Even when Chopper was the worst IGL to have ever breathed oxygen, Spirit still won trophies. Despite this massive handicap, they still won trophies. So there's always an opportunity.
I've just gone down like a little rabbit hole of just like, okay, so if we're talking about like Russian speaking, it's like, okay, so we've got Crush, JR, well, we go in Nafany, Dozier, Zeus, Angel. It's like, who, like, I mean, like Blade, I guess. Like, are we really going to be like, yeah, they're all hands down better than Chopper?
Duke Fissura.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you pick him as an underdog, Yumi, I don't want to hear Hotu or Duke Fissura's name out of your mouth again. Speaking of, it's your second pick, Yumi. Who are you going to take?
I'm gonna go for an underdog, and I'm just gonna be talking around FUT. So I'm just gonna pick him.
Okay.
Mainly because I just like what FUT have been doing. I've appreciated the core of this roster for quite some time, as I'm sure you guys have as well. But the piece that always, seems to be improving game after game, event after event, is Yugas. This is a guy that took my attention, when he was a 1.0 type player. Every game I watched from that point on, where I was like, how do I even say this guy's name? Yugas.
I've been lectured. I've been told it's apparently Jugs, is what I was told by Lithuanians when I said it wrong in the Makaze video. Like,
we're British, Jugs.
Why have extra S's if you don't want extra?
Why have DZ when J just does the job? But whatever.
Yeah, it does look cooler, to be fair.
How dare there be other languages?
I know, ridiculous.
Yeah, but Jugs is a player that has appreciated in his ability to play the game. His ability to close out rounds, his activations in mid rounds are far more explosive than they used to be with the Navi junior roster, and some of that's to, I think, help compensate for the transition of Makaze out of the team as well.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily feel like he's forcing it, which is, I think, the good news for FUT. Whether or not he's he's creating timings or his teammates are doing something active on the other map, I feel like he's reacting very, very appropriately in a lot of these games. And yeah, I've just been very impressed with him in particular. Him and as Demon are really the lifeblood of this roster. And Launex he's there and he's doing things a lot of the time. But he's a bit more, I think, volatile than those two. So if I'm putting faith in riflers, I've just been appreciating the trajectory that FUT have been on, and that they've been able to grind out and go to some of these LAN events, even if they lose to a bit of a stray in Monte and in Stockholm.
Yeah, it's actually because it was too dark in there, and the music was too loud, and the air conditioning.
To be fair, of LAN environments, DreamHack is not the most regulated of the lot. Dude. You know what I mean?
It wasn't that bad. I was fucking reading the tweet in the hall, and I was like, what are you even talking about,
bro? But these are people that have like been brought up on online Counter-Strike and like very regulated tournament environments from the ones that they've played.
Yeah.
Like, the only people that are yelling are other players, not someone doing a concert down the hall and playing poker or I don't know. Bingo
it was great at Stockholm. Yeah. It was like all the UK players, because it was like Cypher, Volt, Smuria, Gizmi, Azulu. Because Smuria was with Sashi, they were actually all next to each other, all around each other, and there was just these like 6 teams with like OG were there, Cadian was fucking loud, and it was just these 6 teams, and they were making all the noise. There was no one else, and it was just these like Kono were there, and it was just so loud, and then that was it. Yeah. No one else.
But immediately when I saw those tweets, because I remember reacting to them as well, it was wow,
fuck,
how far we have come. You know, where people are complaining about LAN hole screaming. You okay? You dying?
I choked on my water.
Put these kids in the same room as 1.6 Taz.
Yeah, they're sheltered. See how they
you
know, like these are sheltered children that haven't really been out there in the wilds like that.
No, this is an interesting pick, isn't it? Like the Na'Vi Academy project. When they lose Mikaze, it's kind of like it took a while to figure out what the next step even should be. You know, how do you replace him? Do you replace him directly? And I feel like they've reached a point where they haven't directly. Like, sure, Launex will take a lot of openers, he'll do a lot of entry work, but he's not really Mikaze in the same way. And they've compensated for that with, you know, a very aggressive like emphasis on Demon being set up to go and trade, to, you know, use his first bullet. And then as well, Jugs has stepped up massively. Like, he was always like, his ratings were always poor in Na'Vi Academy. Like, he was like a 103, and I'm like, who am I supposed to be super excited about this kid? And then he'd hit a clutch, and I'm like, oh, that's significant. Like, that was kind of well played, tidy, smart. Like, there's something here. If he can, you know, shoot a little harder, find a way to activate earlier in rounds, he'll probably be a fairly impactful player for this team. And that's kind of where they've ended up. I still think YouM3 is replaceable. No offense to the lad, but I've not seen a lot from him that impressed me. But in terms of that Jugs and Demon duo, they're pretty solid. Launex has come in with a fair amount of firepower that I didn't think he had for an out of aggressive roles. I know he always paints himself as a guy who can do anything. He can AWP, he can lurk, he can support, he can probably IGL if you listen to his agent. But I didn't expect him to really do this role very well, because every time I've seen him play, he was better as a less fast-paced player, a more considered, lurking playmaker. But he has been solid, and that's really helped them stay afloat and stay relevant. I mean, they had to build back into it, but recently, yeah, winning Galaxy Battle, a bit of an online event, but some really good teams to beat. Yeah, good run at Stockholm, won Draculan Season 3. Like, they've had great results. This is a very high-value underdog pick. Not one with too many established names, but really dangerous, really threatening.
They just have to pick the right opponent.
Of course.
I do think Jugs or Jugs. I'm gonna keep messing. Yeah, sorry. I think he's probably benefited the most on this team from the 3.0 change and, you know, round swinger, sort of what he's doing in rounds, because it felt like there were many games before where he would still get those kills, but it wouldn't necessarily be sort of counted towards him, right? That's probably where the big inflation on his rating has really come from, is that 3.0 is noticing some of the smaller things that are a bit more intangible aside from just extra kills on the kill sheet.
Yeah, he's probably also getting that extra MP9 kill or two that just fucking launches your rating up into the stratosphere.
FUT is a team I have a lot to say about.
Okay.
Good Lornex. It's interesting you say that you don't think he's like the player to kind of fit that Mikaze role. That's actually how I only see him as a player, as that aggressive, like kind of crazy madman. The issue is I've just heard he's a cunt, to be honest. Like no one seems to like him, and that's the main reason why he hasn't progressed. Like, you know, you have Emma coming out on Twitter when he leaves Nexus, just being like, that's not what you said to everyone else. And it's like, I don't know, like he doesn't get called out for it. I think, well, he actually does. That's the issue. And that never happens in esports. I thought he was going to kill the team because FUT or the Na'Vi Junior is just, they've always really excited me. To Zoogs as well. So I remember I coached an Estonian, I was coaching a team, I was an Estonian guy on it. End of 2023, so when Na'Vi Junior was still shadow banned, and they were playing the United 21s, and they were winning every single one, or it was like them Spirit Academy, and they couldn't play any other tournaments, they were shadow banned. It was very obvious. I remember this when they were like 15 years old, and this Estonian guy was like, this Dazoo's guy is like, he's legit, like he's really good. I've been pugging with him since he was like 14, so okay, bit weird. Like, and then I was looking every time I'd watch them, I was like, is he? I was like, yeah, I completely agree with, like, apparently he's always been very good. Now he is. That's a really big beneficial. Cementries, you don't think he's good? It's definitely better than Alcran. And those are two players I'd compare a lot because of the whole like Spirit Academy, Na'Vi Academy. They were two, like, I'd compare a lot of those pieces. Alcran, he's down here for me. Sentry's not massively up, but definitely up.
Cheltenham
So
are better than
comparing
Accrington
like
and Stanley,
Orcas,
but like I don't want to have either one as my team going into the World Cup final. Like,
yeah, but if we're talking about Alcran
Levels.
being on a top 10 team, and it's like just someone that I compare a lot to Cementry because of the trajectory of how they came up, like I definitely take Cementry. And it's a squad where be very interesting. You'd listen to Grabeni talk in an interview. He'd be like, Coolio has helped us loads with our how we structure our team. I'd sit back and I'd just be like, what fucking structure?
Yeah.
Like, what
It looks
are we
the
on?
same.
What are we talking about? The first, when they start getting in 2024, wait, no, I'm getting my years. Sorry, no, 2025. So the beginning of this year, because they were shadow banned last year. Yeah, so the beginning of this year when VRS and they got opened up, you'd watch them and you're like, this is amazing, chaotic mess, strategized perfectly. And you were like, wow, this is awesome. And then like 3 months later, I was like, nope, this is just go shoes. And it worked. It definitely did work really well. And the one thing that I think has changed is that recently that has got that strategy and that structure actually has become a thing. Since since bringing in Lornex, since maybe getting a little bit more legitimized, since they're actually allowed to compete in these tournaments when they couldn't before. Because I remember in the Blast Austin, they could qualify for the MRQ, but they couldn't play. And I remember Krabeni being like, he was talking to me and he was like, this is actually quite a big blow to us that we can't play in this because like we want to play in these tournaments, but we're always soft blocked. They have the opportunity, and you can definitely see the team has got more structured, got more risen. I was scared about Lornex coming in. I'm not scared anymore. He's proven, the team's proven that it actually can compete like it is. And I was very scared when they first went to LAN. They were shit. They've won a LAN now. They've come second place. They have had these ups and downs, but they're on that rise. And I really believe that this team at Dazook, 17 years old. Like, this is a team that really is just gonna, they've gone through all these things at 15 years old. They've gone through all those trials and tribulations. This is a team that I don't think are even really like an underdog. Seems weird to call them an underdog right now, from my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely other teams that are in the favorite category that maybe don't necessarily warrant that given their form or some of the moves that they've made. Yeah, no, I think just a final note on FUT is that, you know, the Laonex is filling the Mikaze-sized hole that was left in the roster. You know, of the pieces they had before, I mean, who they have? Did they have Masuta for a little bit when they first joined?
Masuta, because he was signed to
Yes,
FUT.
he was still on FUT at the time. And then once they got Laonex, it's like, okay, he's doing 80% of the job. You know, he's filling the gap.
And they've found other ways to account for that other 20. Because Mikaze was ferocious on this team. It wasn't just like he was an entry; he was the entry. Like it was crazy how much volume he was taking, and also the success rates. They were not acceptable. Like that's just too nasty. He had to get a promotion to somewhere if the entire team wasn't getting picked up. It's just he was too valuable a commodity, I think, for Na'Vi to let that happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have figured it out a bit by hook, a few crooks along the way, but right now it looks really damn strong. So yeah, solid pick for an underdog, especially a deeper pick.
Can we interject and say that apparently the Zugs may be going to was it NIP? Who was it?
It's not NIP, it's someone else, because NIP is the Cairn connection, from what I've understood.
Cairn, yeah. There was Oh, Heroic.
Yeah, Heroic, but I've also heard it's sus going to Heroic from other people. I've heard different things in terms of that 5th spot now that Youngster's bench, so we don't have anything to really go on. Like, it's all up in the air.
He would fit Youngster's roles, but the one on kind of that point of roster change, the one thing I've been loving with FUT is they've only had that one change. Like, this is a team of youngsters who you'd think like they're just gonna get picked apart. They're never gonna have that ability to show who they are. Started that last year. You're like, imagine if this 5 played in a tier 1 event, and we've actually kind of got that somehow a year on. Like, that's very rare.
Yeah, it is. It's an incredible run, incredible rise. We're back to you though, Freddie. You have a pick now. You've got
Shit! Is it actually
one underdog slot open, 2 favorites open? Where do you want to go with this one?
Oh, I did. I actually thought it was going back to you. I should probably go for a favorite.
Okay.
That would make the most sense. Well, so the issue I have with this when I look at favorites is that there's 6 or so teams that just should be making it through. So I guess I'll just pick one of them of Furia. I think Furia. There is no way on earth that favorite shouldn't be going through. And that's kind of a self-explained. Like you were saying, Vitality had this era. Who were they stopped by? Furia. And they have to be in boot camp, right, in Europe to play this. So that's also a big, I think, positive that they're not going to be all at home. I don't know if every single one of these teams that are at the top are going to be on boot camp, because why would they? So I think for Furia, I assume they're going to be on boot camp. This is and it's the same explanation of Molodoy. He's also very familiar with playing online Counter-Strike. Literally started last year. He was still playing in like Kazakh tier 3 on Amcal. Like he's, duck to water. He's probably going to drop like 1.50 on everybody. And it's just that kind of sheer like baseline that is going to get this team through. And they're probably not going to get picked by anyone until it's like Sinners. And as much as I love Sinners, I don't think they're going to beat Furia.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. Not gonna lie, if Sinners were able to. Firstly, if they chose to pick Furia out of anything but necessity, but I think Sinners.
Well, I think they
pick,
might have to. Sinners. No, wait. So is it?
Wait, I thought it was like the lowest seed gets the first pick, like the very lowest.
Seriously?
Ranking. I thought it was. I might be wrong.
Okay. Well, then it's Ecstatic and Sinners get first pick and Monte get first picks.
Yeah, so I think they might have a chance to go elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah, the Furia are Vitality tier in terms of favorite just in this field. They should be.
They have to. Like they should, right?
Yeah, it's by default almost. Like you can slip over and win these games for Furia in theory. Like they should be here. Just wanted to say that they didn't end the Vitality era. Like Vitality lost to like 4 different teams before Furia even won an event that was significant.
They were a heavy contributor. They were a heavy contributor.
They get eliminated by Mouse, and they get eliminated by who was it? It's Mongols.
They lost to Falcons.
Then they lose to Mongols again. Then at London they lose to G2 in the final. Before they even start encountering this Furia that goes on to win 2 real big events back to back, 3 events total.
But like it's like Furia, one of the only major teams last year to actually have repeatable success, albeit some of those events the top teams weren't at it. But I think Furia is definitely a team where you come out of 2025 and it's like, okay, they're contending top 3 for this year. This tournament obviously isn't the litmus test, let's be honest. It's a fucking online blast bounty. Who gives a shit? But like no team wants to start like, yeah, as you said, they'll slip over. Like that's just how it should be.
Yeah, and the Molodoy point is quite good because he was online dominating before he was on Amcal. I'm not sure. Maybe even on Amcal, he was still in Kazakhstan on 100 ping, destroying people.
It was silly. It was actually silly.
The shot making, I was like, I thought the AWP was terrible. I thought the AWP was impossible to use. He's on 100 ping hitting these flicks. What's your excuse? Like, this is insane. So he will be back into his comfort zone, I guess, of sitting at a PC in a room. Obviously, he seems to have taken, as you said, like a duck to water to LAN play, but also to most stages that aren't the major. He's been fantastic. He's just completely collapsed at the majors. So he'll be great here. He's going to smash them. Obviously, the team overall has such a pedigree, such established talent. They should be fine. They should be winning all these games, hands down. Remains to see what actually shakes out in terms of these top teams. Who's the best? Spirit made some moves. Falcons are always rumored too. Vitality, Furia, stable, steady, keeping their rosters, their championship-winning rosters going. These should be heavy, heavy favorites. And if they lose in the opening round especially, it'll be the talk of the town for 2 weeks. Like, minimum. We'll be endlessly
and then we'll all forget about it.
Yeah, we'll forget about it because it's Blast Bounty. Aurora made the final of it. Like, who really actually ends up at the end of the year thinking Aurora were a top team? Like, in terms of
I will
elite
say,
winners.
it is very cutthroat. Like, it is literally 2 knockout BO3s. Like, the probability of something going wrong, like something's going wrong. I don't know who, I don't know what, because we don't know the picks. Something is going to go wrong.
The main things I have for Furia, I have two issues. One is I actually think of the top teams, they are fairly susceptible to a rogue map where they can get, outplayed, or they don't know much about the team that they're playing down against. And I think the bounty format is actually very conducive to a team causing an upset against someone like a Furia. Because I'm not sure what it is, and maybe this was more a case with the older Furia, and maybe it's like a holdover in my brain. But they always seem to underestimate people. And I think Fallen has been guilty of that as well, where it's like, guys, we don't need to overcomplicate things. Let's just, play bog standard. And it actually results in them, I think, creating less opportunities, like far less aggressive, less willingness to kill. And it actually lets the other team have more chances, I think. And on another note, Molodoy is the fastest AWPer we have in the circuit right now, today. But he also misses a lot sometimes. Like,
live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah, there are games where he's reacting fast, but he's not hitting the shot. Like, person on screen hit click, but not everything is in sync. And it does sometimes take him a while actually to get engaged in those games. And when you look at that major losing to Na'Vi, he never calibrated. In Chengdu against Vitality, he calibrated eventually. But in the major, it just never hit. And so he's, as much as he is a big reason why I think Furia are a relevant conversation because of how good he can be, he's also a potential liability. And I'm not saying it's like a massive proportion. I'd say nine times out of 10, maybe even 95% of the time, he is a big boon to this roster. But that 5% has me concerned sometimes for these slip-ups or upsets to maybe rear their head for Furia.
I will, the counterpoint that I think you even said yourself was just like the last Furia. And I think it's very easy to, like, I remember watching Furia lose to Gun 5 in a CTT final, like with Finnegan. I completely agree of like, that was the past. And obviously that's never going to fully leave because that just doesn't. But I do think there's a massive philosophy shift with the Yakinda and Molody pickup. Maybe complacency is the issue because of how well they've done. Before you were like, why are they complacent? They don't deserve it. But because they've done so well, maybe they're like, who cares about these bots? I don't know why I'm going French, but
French.
Okay.
Let's say that's not one of our colonies, is it?
We just hear so many Apex interviews where he says those exact things.
My default right now is just French.
They used to be the embarrassment of the world, though, in that sense, when it comes to being a top team, allegedly, going into online cups and just getting embarrassed by anyone and everyone. Like, they consistently would go out in the round of 8 or 16 of CCT cups they were invited to playoffs of. And it was like, why are we wasting... Like, please stop wasting slots on these guys. They clearly don't want to be here. Fuck them. Give this spot to the number 30 team in the world who'd actually try.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I caveated that point for myself because, like, when I look at someone like Mouse, for example, they can sometimes be noob stompers. I don't see Furia in that same vein. I think they're a little bit more susceptible than some of the others, I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think the Molodoi changes that a lot. I will say, I think that's very much like last Furia, but I agree to an extent.
Yeah, it'll remain to be seen. As everything here, with the upset stuff, the picks, that's all yet to be determined in terms of opening matchups. I don't think there should be too many they will be worried about, but hey, there could be a few slip-ups here and there. There could be some teams they underestimate, like a FUT, like a Monte, who've had some fairly respectable results. It's back to me with back-to-back picks, and I've still got some pretty important slots to fill out. And honestly, it's looking a bit odd in terms of the teams available to me, because I've realised Mouse are not in attendance. So we've got like a very reliable sort of team not available to pick. Usually I can take them, they're top 4, whatever, it's easy, it's Mouse.
Laughing your way to the bank type.
Exactly, but there's none of that here.
Oh, sorry, I've got a point before you pick, this will help.
What's that?
It's top down, so Sinners are 15th out of 16th to pick.
Oh, okay, so it's the top of the underdogs gets to pick first. So the first pick
top
would be
underdogs.
Like, I don't know.
Yes, the final 3 is like Monte, Sinners, Ecstatic.
Damn, so it's the opposite of what you were hoping for, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that doesn't really change anything, so I wasn't going to go
like
with the underdog
Parivision get first pick, I think, or something like that, maybe.
Are they an
Huge.
underdog?
Parivision Gentlemates.
Technically, they're a favorite.
They're a favorite for us. Are they an underdog for?
Yeah.
Are they in the bottom 16 for VRS? I don't know the VRS ranking because not bothered about it. We're doing
like
it this way.
Parivision, Gentlemates, for Bet Boomer, like would be the kind of I think top or lower.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to take another favorite just to get it out of the way. A team who have claimed they're not making changes despite everyone desperately begging them to make every change. I've heard every player connected to this team at this point. I'm going to take Falcons. They're a team last year that obviously exceeded their reputation as far as how the scene was treating them, because they were talked about as if they were the worst team in Tier 1, would consistently miss playoffs and underperform in every single game and never beat any legit opponents. That just wasn't true. Falcons got many big wins, many big performances in playoffs. It's just the playoffs they did perform in were not Cologne, Katowice, or the Majors, which are the 4 that I still hold dearest to my heart. Now, eventually, I opened up the possibility, like, if we are going to see events like Chengdu be run so well, in terms of stages, best of 3s all the way, I'm like, yeah, eventually I'm gonna start including them as prestige. Like,
sure.
Especially if Katowice is being replaced by Krakow. I don't know what the fuck Krakow's going to be. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. You know, I've always looked for another way, because I still hate the IEM ESL 6-team playoff bollocks. Like, that's still such a dumb format. But more importantly, back on track. Falcons have some legit wins. You know, they've beaten teams like Mouse consistently in third place playoffs. They've beaten Vitalities in semi-finals. They've been as lethal as the players they've signed imply. In the fact that they have Monte, they have Nico, and obviously most recently Kioske. Some absolute animals. So in this sort of event, yeah, I think there's some teams who are going to want to pick them to try and upset them, to be like, oh, their strats aren't that complex, or maybe they're going to get this piece of util wrong that opens the door. It's like, that's all well and good. Do you remember online Kioske? Because I remember online Kioske. He gets the freedom to do whatever the hell he wants on Spirit Academy. Maybe won't be quite as extreme on this team, but he then just proceeds to rip every single head off, hit perfect spray after perfect spray, and look like just Deus Ex Machina. So I am not, back in the machine afterwards with his inputs. He is just an animal. The rest of the team is mega talented, should be a step above. I don't see them getting upset. I see them going through. I think there's more a chance they get upset than Vitality, or than if Mouse were here than Mouse. But given the rest of the favourites all have bigger shaking points for me, bigger weaknesses, bigger issues than this Falcons team who have stayed together, like you say, like an Aurora. They've just made a move that makes even less sense on paper than the last one they did. And they were a bit of a mess at the end of the year. You know, there's other teams with firepower that I just don't trust at all. I give Falcons some of my trust. I think they should make it out here comfortably.
But how could Falcons be a top 3 team if they've only got 2 people in the top 20?
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of questions like that when I just look at people's end of year stuff. My favorite one is just Quacker, my Retake the Week co-host, who had Cyclone as like 4th coach of the year. Broland not top IGL, only one mouse player in the top 20 at like 15, and I'm like, who the fuck won this team games? Like, how did they make every top 4 in your mind? How did they make grand finals in your mind if none of them are any good at what they do? It made no sense. I understand that sort of perspective, but Falcons are a beastly team.
It's the plague of like, they didn't win, they suck. And it's like, okay, well, I guess we're not. It's the plague for me in esports of Counter-Strike, of just
results-based analysis.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they haven't won every single event, but they've come top 4. No, I think they should all just retire and they all suck. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's
cut
cool.
Everyone. Cut everyone.
Like,
thank you, Kassad.
Everyone must be top 5, and if no one's top 5, then everyone should retire.
There is something to be said about Mao's, even though they're not in this tournament, but there probably should have been a change, you know, just to spark some new life. And I'm not sure it was an in-game leader swap.
I think that's maybe why they're not in this tournament.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
because
I mean, it's an online event and it's close to HLTV Awards, which they will likely attend, and then also like you want to maybe get a feel for it. Listen, people oversaturated their calendars last year with LAN events, so I actually respect some teams taking the first or maybe one of these interim tournaments off.
All I want to say for Mouse, though, is whoever's doing their calendar, their schedule, maybe this year, if you're going to miss certain events, 10 certain events, try not to attend all the events the best team of all time is attending, and maybe you'll end up with nicer playoff stats, because you played Vitality in like 30% of all your playoff games, and that fucking screwed you.
Also, let's not take a break during the end leg of the season. Let's not do that too, you know?
They're gonna do an Imperial Valkyries. They're gonna show up to H3 Awards, win Player of the Year, and then kick a player the day after.
What? Huh?
Who?
Just a bit of. Sorry, just a bit of.
I was gonna say, like, how were Mao's even the conversation for players?
Just a bit of drama. Just an anecdote that's funny and just a bit of spice.
Jim Fat, Player of the Year.
Oh, sorry, Team of the Year, and then kick a player the day after. Mao's is actually a team that I thought was the one team that I had on record that they were making a roster change, and they're yet to do that roster change. And the player who is supposedly supposed to come back is very much still playing with their current team. So
question mark. But anyway, Falcons.
Yeah.
So we weren't meant to be talking about Falcons here.
Yes, yeah, we were meant to be talking about Falcons. Yeah, I mean, the core of this roster bangs. I mean, Nico is still a big part of that core, even though it seems like he's taking a step back so that Kioska can shine a bit more. And there's a few moments where Nico is uncomfortable. Like I've witnessed some awkward looking sprays from him and him getting caught off, I guess, by timings. But it's something that he'll ultimately adapt to. I can only it is a matter of time. Again, I do think Kioska has maybe been snubbed a little bit not to be included in this top 20. And there are still other pieces to come. I understand he came in late to the year and they didn't win tournaments, but in terms of his output and what he could do, there has to be some counterbalance there to a certain degree. I mean, listen, Falcons have real firepower, and they have honestly looked not that terrible tactically. Like there have been maybe a couple of mid-round calls that look a little stupid or a little silly at times. They've lost some of those post-plant situations that are quote unquote unlosable. You know, they're the mini-map screenshot team. I get it.
Yeah.
But they also get themselves into those advantages fairly often. So I don't expect that to plague them over the course of 2 years, where it's like, oh, this unlosable situation, they've lost more of them again. That shouldn't happen. The players are of a caliber where that just shouldn't be the case. And if they are, it's Kickson's fault.
It's all Kickson's fault. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be.
You have to kick him. It's in his name.
Yeah.
I've so very anti Falcons way, because Falcons very much just like no one's allowed at any time more than like a month. This is the Falcons roster that I do see with time. Like it's a roster that I feel like needs time. Kixan, in my eyes, was still very much a tier 1.5, tier 2 IGL preceding his addition to Falcons, because you know, like he got this move up to heroic, which by and large comes from a fairly kind of one-off run with Apex. You know, he's a great IGL. I think he's personally really legit. He's someone I've always really enjoyed watching. But it's like he goes from a North Macedonian top 30 roster that overperformed, an Apex roster that overperformed, Heroic, and then Falcons. I think he, as an IGL, is still refining into that role. And speaking about learning into that role, Kyosuke, like, guys, he's not a donk. Not everyone needs to get MVP at their first tournament. He's still only been there for 6 months. I remember fucking casting Kyosuke killing himself twice in one series. Like, he's still a raw player. He's still someone who needs that time. And this is the year where he's truly going to flourish. Not everyone has to be the best player in the world in their first tournament. And I think, unfortunately, Kyosuke is coming into a weird time where he's been put on that same pedestal as a donk. He's not donk, obviously, but he's pretty close. But we don't need to be expecting him to be doing the exact same things.
What's hilarious is his first event, he played like donk. They don't make playoffs because the team were bums. But he actually did.
Doesn't help. Was that Cologne, right?
Yeah, Cologne, he comes in groups, drops a 134 rating, 0.94 KPR. He has these ridiculous Deagle clips that just made no sense. He just walks out, just bang, bang, 2 people dead. You're like, this is too donk.
It doesn't
like,
help.
What the hell?
Yeah, like, but he will become that eventually.
I mean, the comparisons to Donk were always going to be there, given that he comes from their academy, and it's like, oh my god,
very similar. Yeah,
they've replicated. No, but I mean, if you look at the way that they play and the way that they aim, there's actually
differences.
There are differences. There are some similarities in certain cases. That's true, but in terms of like their aiming style, they bridge different ways. And you know, it should have been. This could be the second coming of Nico. Like in terms of play style, the way that they shoot, it's far more, I don't know, tempered. Donk was always like hyperactive, constantly moving, forcing fights on his terms. There's a little bit more angle holding, better like quick adjustments on Kyosuke's side.
Part of that feels Falcons and beyond, because on Spirit Academy, in terms of especially the mobility and the hyperactiveness, bro, he was just doing whatever. Like, he couldn't sit still.
On CT side, he couldn't sit still. Yeah, I agree.
I was complaining about it all the time. I was like, this isn't tenable. Like, you got to stand still sometimes when you're playing with other AWPers who want to do stuff, not just Alcaran. When you want to play with a rifler who wants to be active, not just the guys who've told to anchor a bomb site on this roster. Like, you need to actually sit still and be a part of it and not just shoot. But he was playing just a very very long-winded deathmatch, it felt like at times. So, yeah, that was a bit of a change that I noticed on the Falcons front rather than on just the player that he is. So, I'm going to move on to my second pick now. Just because I am getting hungry. And we've still got an hour or so of the show left.
Yeah, I'm actually literally putting one of my batteries on charge right now, and I was trying to find where my spare one is that is fully charged, but I don't know where that is anymore.
Yeah, well, hopefully you find that before it dies. I'm going to go into the underdogs because I have to. I'm not really too happy to be talking about underdogs on this show, just because most of them I don't have that much faith in. I don't like the idea that
words carefully.
I've got to pluck one out and somehow get them an upset win here. It's tough. It's tough. But just looking at what you've told me in terms of the top underdogs draft first, I'm trying to figure out where that line is drawn. Because if that line is drawn around NIP, and they've got a decent like selection to make, like they're fairly high up in the selection process, asking me for an upset to happen? You're telling me there's Heroic on the other side of that line? That's the freest fucking win ever. Give me NIP as my underdog. They're an underdog by our standards. I'm not sure where they sit on the VRS.
So
they're 20.
They don't even have 5.
They don't have 5.
Wait,
I don't care. They could win with 4.
Who's first? Like, what are the exact like? Who's top 16? Who's bottom 16? Who's like the kind of?
So by VRS,
15th?
it's hard to see because not everyone's in attendance. So it's slightly below 16 is going to be the actual 16 line. But I'm assuming FUT would be towards the end of that because they're 18th on VRS and we're only missing a couple teams above.
Oh wait, very good. If you go to Liquipedia, they have
it done for
them.
Us.
They've already got the So FUT are in the top 16 because they're in the like. If you scroll down on Liquipedia, it has the bracket like the round of 32 with the teams who are top 16. So NIP aren't there.
So NIP will have a pretty early pick.
So they could pick of Heroic, 3D Max, Pain, Parivision, Gentlemates, Gaming Legion, FUT.
going to be so free, this upset. So yeah, NIP are underdog for us. Look, they don't have a 5. The rumor is that Ken is joining them. That's the rumor I've seen splashed around. Ken is an interesting player, but he kind of does work. It's not a perfect one-to-one fit in terms of everything UJerks was asked to do, but I think he shoots harder than UJerks, and he played in a team that was very aggressive and poppy in a way that shouldn't put him off to be on NIP. That should be a fairly smooth transition. They obviously have probably one of the most he's not quite underrated because everyone who knows who he is rates him. But in terms of things like, end of year rankings, all that, no one's going to talk about Shush. But Shush is an elite anchor, no matter the competition, pretty much. Like every time they've stepped up to bigger events, he's still been delivering. Sure, he's not always been the 118 rated Terminator, unplayable type anchor, but he's been super solid for them across the board. Snappy, I think, is one of the best IGLs in the field, let alone in the underdog field. And sure, Wrinkle, inconsistent, has some problems, takes some big deaths, takes big risks, and I love that in my Orpus, so I'll always back him. I'll always say like there's a room for him on my team, basically. And Casper Sky was one of the big revelations of last year, so I'm very happy being able to grab NIP as an underdog, considering 2 underdogs already off the board. Give me that NIP. I'm going to lap that shit up.
I'd be surprised if NIP are able to keep Shush. Is the big thing. Coming into this roster move cycle, I was expecting that if Falcons were going to make a change that wasn't getting bit or getting frozen or going for like a big,
or getting Senzu, which someone told me the other day was a thing to talk about. I'm like, what? Where does Senzu go on the team?
It's like they need anchor players. Let's bring in Senzu. Like, okay, bro. I think Shush was the lesser talked about person that should have probably been in that conversation of if Falcons were being more pragmatic with their money, he's the one that isn't seen as like an elite star player on their roster on a team that's like already in the top 10 conversation. He should have been for his roles, I think he would fit actually very well into Falcons.
Yep.
So I'd be surprised if NIP are able to hold on to him. I'm just curious to see where the roster moves, because if they do bring in Karen, I'm not sure if that's going to move the needle too much for me personally. Because if they had some pretty shocking runs in that second season. I mean,
the entire team did. Like the inner circle drop off was something that needs to be studied. Like they fell off a cliff in the second half of 2025.
No, but NIP as well is what I'm saying. It's like
NIP they had some dips.
They had some streaks where it looked really, really poor. And yeah, some of that's maybe some external out of server stuff where it's like people are having kids and
multiple,
blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So a lot of that.
There was a bit of I'm just a bit apprehensive, or I guess I'm not totally confident in NIP. They started the year off very well. They got to an elevated position, and they making that next jump up was always going to be the hurdle for the roster. And I'm not sure that they're there yet, even if they have a great Kaspersky.
Yeah. Yeah, Freddie, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, so I actually thought you were hyping that whole conversation that you did about Shush, about Kaspersky. I thought you were going to go on and be like, oh yeah, this is someone that they're going to struggle to keep. And I was like, Kaspersky, Shush, what? Okay, fair enough. I agree with Shush. But I think for me, when I look at this roster, it's just like, we saw it at the first stage of the major. Kaspersky, that dude is cracked. I mean, for anyone who's a knower, they should have known this since like NIP, the Young Ninjas days, which is no surprise why he got bought out of ENCE, because guess who is the assistant coach of NIP? The old coach of Young Ninjas.
They have him on loan from ENCE.
Okay, but it's pretty obvious why he's gone from ENCE to NIP. Like, I think there's no... Who would have thought that a coach and player with a very good connection, notoriously, now work together at NIP? Kind of obvious, in my opinion.
I just simply believe they're going to lose Kaspersky no matter what. Like, he's...
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
He's gone.
The loan's expiring and ENCE are selling him at a high price.
He is playing so well. But what I think he needed on this NIP side was a win. Because they've done very well. They've got very close to wins at many times in also quite big events on LAM, etc. Cologne, like playoffs would have been a win for them at Cologne. And they got close to that because of how well they were playing. And it literally was going like, oh my God, this team with Kaspersky, boom, down at Cologne. And it was like, and I think that actually resonated a lot with the rest of their year. they ended the year with a winner, whatever the fuck. What was
Roman
this?
Imperium.
Like Roman
It's hosted by Roman the player. It's weird.
means nothing. It's a nothing tournament, but it's a trophy lift. It's a win. And I think for this squad, they needed that in the second half of the year. They needed to go into this year with a win. I think that is actually a very important win, despite it being nothing.
It was nothing. And for me, the biggest reason I picked them isn't really the Roman Imperium Cup or any of that bollocks. Despite the way they choked away their major run, the Counter-Strike they played to create the choke was insane. It was fantastic. They played brilliant CS until the death, and that was the problem.
What they did at Clone. That's literally what they did at Clone as well. You watch them with a player, and you're like, whoa, and then wow.
Yeah, the Cologne.
Yes, you
the
go
Cologne
from
main
overwhelmed
stage
to
was...
very whelmed.
Yeah, but they look, even in the main stage, they lose to Aurora 13-11, 19-15. And you're like, think about the number of teams that are going to be above them in the ranking at that point, who would just get blown out, who couldn't put up a good T side against this firepower stack side. And, they crush Heroic, because at this point, Heroic were fully on fraud watch, and then lose, again, a 13-11 on Train to Na'Vi to lose that series 2-1. They're in biting distance, and those big emotional losses probably is what leads to some of these bigger dips, like in the second half of the year, where they built this massive stack of momentum, just had it slip through their fingers, and felt it, a bit too strongly. And hey, maybe that's something we need to talk about in terms of the coach and IGL duo. Like, maybe, there are too big of a, this resonates too much. Maybe there's something that we need to talk about in terms of how we handle ourselves. But they're still a very young team outside of the two old men who are leading the way. And even Shush isn't really an old maid, is he? Like, he's in his mid-20s at this point.
They've been around for a while.
He's just been around a long time, like a lot of players. They're a team that still has, I think, a lot of potential. They're a team that has a lot of proven quality pieces. I think they're a bona fide danger of a team to face in this event.
Agreed. I think they probably win a tournament this year of some caliber, as long as they can just kind of fix that whole crimble crumble stuff they tend to do. Yeah,
keep Shush, keep Casper Sky, and you've got it. It's there. It's an option, because I didn't rate you Jux very highly at all.
Yeah, they should be on boot camp right now.
They're a boot camp from the 11th.
Which is going... Oh, they're a boot camp from the 11th. So for Blast Bounty, yeah. That's going to help. That especially if they're signing Khan or whoever the guy is.
Yeah.
That's going to be very helpful.
Yeah. That's the last I heard is why I said it. I don't actually know anything more than anyone
everyone
else, really.
Everyone seems to be saying that.
Yeah. There's loads of people talking to loads of different teams as well. Like, who's to say anything ever really happens? Like how the rosters form out. Yes, nothing happens until it's confirmed. There's been...
That's a big esports thing, man. I've heard a lot of stories about I'm literally going. I think there's I have the pass to play at the event, and I didn't get picked up.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah, Freddie, we're back to you though now. You still have a favorite open. You still have an underdog open. Yeah.
So the favorites, unfortunately, we really whittled down to just this is a bit crap now, isn't it?
It's getting dodgy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting really dodgy. Okay, so let's cast our mind back to my first pick, Monte. What team was Ryu maybe supposed to go to? Astralis. So I'm placing...
Wait, no.
You're just betting on Ryu, no matter where he is.
I'm betting on... My Lord. So we're going to go on, if he stays in Monte, underdog. If he goes to Astralis, favorite. So I'm locking in Astralis as my favorite in 2026 with Stare as a star player. Astralis going international. With Fuzi replacing Device for the second time in his career, which is just phenomenal. And as much as this is very comical, and I will agree, pretty crazy, but again, what else did you kind of expect from me? I don't think we expected anything actually normal to come out of my mouth. Astralis got put in a very shitty situation with the whole needing to bring in Magics because one of their players just decided that he didn't want to play Counter-Strike anymore after a very extended player break. It's not like Stown had literally a month and a half to decide if he wanted to play or not, and then 2 days before a tournament or something like that was like, yeah, guys, I don't actually want to play. So I think all things considered, Magic's coming in and filling that gap worked very well. And we saw from Stare moments of like, yeah, this kid could actually do it. Fisher Playground 2, first tournament, he was on something. Like that, you were like, this guy actually could fill this role. And I believe he still will continue to do that. I think Stare's going to turn out to be it is going to be a top 20 player in the year, of the year, maybe not 2026. Actually, fuck it, 2026. Stare's going to be a top 20 player of the year. And there's a little bit of copium. A big love of Mr. Fuzi, Mr. Louvet. He's quite literally got a tattoo because of me. So I've got a bit of copium in a positive for him, but also I've seen him progress through his career to this point, and he has had very, very clear progression of, like, he goes to Rare Atom, I'm thinking, just hang it up. Like, you're not very good at the game. Just hang it up. And he comes out of Rare Atom a better player than when he came in.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? Not at all. Why does it make sense? They were playing...
It's about confidence, about belief. It's about he came out of that team being like, oh, so that's what it feels like to just dumpster people, to be selfish, a star. I can't con with these guys cleanly and fluidly. I just kind of have to do shit. I'm like, I'm picking this.
All speak English.
It's
literally
not the same.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
not the same. Exactly. That's the point. I thought you were saying something else. Sorry. That's the point, though. He couldn't con with them clearly. He had to just kind of be a star. He had to kind of just go hero mode, and it worked. And he dropped ridiculous numbers. So he comes back with this confidence. His confidence is up. That's why it works. It's belief.
But he's playing better Counter-Strike, which makes no sense.
That's all belief, man. It's all about the belief.
They were literally playing the same 5 teams in practice. They were doing best of 3 practice. That's what Michael, you know how it is. That's what happens in Asia. And he comes over, and yeah, Fuzi is legitimately playing like one of the best AWPers in the world. And he's been. What I think is also going to benefit him so much is that he's been fucked around for the last 6 months. He goes to 9. They're about to qualify for the major. Ring-a-ling-ling. We've got a callback clause in our contract that we're going to do a month after we benched you because we start seeing you're playing better. Like, he wanted to get out a wild card. He said in interviews he didn't want to be there. Like, everyone knew he didn't want to be there. He finally has that kind of like breath of fresh air. I'm going to a good team with good support, and I'm going to get the money. I'm going to get the infrastructure. He's going to be playing some serious Counter-Strike. And I think for Astralis, for Stare, you have that stability that he is going to thrive in now.
Yeah, listen, after the many years, or the 2-3 years that he's now spent globe-trotting to Asia and America just to play Counter-Strike, he's now back in Europe. You know, that's the big
on
advantage.
A tier 1 team.
Yes, on a tier 1 team. With expectations to be a tier 1 team, though. When he was on Rare Atom, the expectation was that he was going to farm and fry people. And yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Rare Atom did look a little shit, even if he was the best part of it. And then Wildcard had its, I guess, the major ups, and then the 9 thing was happening. I don't disagree.
He played so well on 9. He played so well.
He has been fucked around. But the good news is that we've talked about him before on the show, and we compared him a lot with players like Slacks, for example, who honestly was kind of a dog. He was not a great AWPer. He was a bad AWPer for a while that had no real progression. He was a nothing player. Didn't clutch rounds really. Got a lot of kills into a bomb site, but only like the 1 kill. That would be it. The round was already technically done. He'd cut or rotate. He became a much better player when he went to America, and FaZe has kind of done the same thing, but he started in Asia first, where, some of what KingT is talking about is correct. It's very selfish, in a way, but he had to play a lot more independently because of the communication structure within that team. So, yeah, I mean, he's grown a lot, and I think he took a massive risk. Lots of players talk about making that risk. Like, I should just go over to Asia or go over to America. It's like a free paycheck. I mean, everybody sucks out there. Some people, like very few, have actually put their money where their mouth is and actually gone and done that. FaZe, Slacks, I have a lot of appreciation for those types of people to take that risk in their careers, especially when they're young. Everyone sees Europe as the main hub. Not everyone's like racked up to do it.
He's still 22. Like he's done all of that. I think he's either the same age as me or a year older than me. Like he joined NIP when he was like out of school.
Yeah, it's one of those classic. We've been talking about him forever. He's only 22. Like it happens all the time, right? Like we have that exposure to these players when they're like 17, 18, and we don't realize it.
Zoogs, 17.
Yeah, Jukes, kid, just some kid. Like realistically, still. But yeah, I don't mind the Astralis pick. That's.
I'm also.
I forgot to glaze
Jukes.
Stare. I forgot.
Get back on track. Yeah,
Stare's the go.
Awesome.
I'm. Wait, do we like Stare here? Or is that?
Yeah.
I'm a Stare lover as a role player. I've always had the caveat of when you put him in star roles, I'm like, all of a sudden he's not that massive value add. He's fine, but he's not the massive value add he was as a role player. I don't see him as a superstar.
Yeah, the thing I always got hung up on about Astralis is that when they had Stam, when they had Yabby, Stare was the best rifler on that team still.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looked the best. He had the best crosshair placement. He got the sort of better explosive kills. And yes, some of the, Stown and Yabby's job is to open up more than Stare was, especially because Stare was more back-ender of the pack. But he was just rifling. Like some of the spray transfers that I've seen from him, some of the like quick crosshair adjustments, he was the best rifler for a while. So putting him into star roles kind of made sense. I don't know that I necessarily like him as much in star roles as I did when he was, playing with Stown and Yabby in tandem. But he's doing okay. He's slowly getting into it, I think.
I've seen moments from Stare where I truly believe that is like, okay, this can happen. And also just kind of finish the point of Astralis to bring it back to why I was saying, like, Jugs will make this roster. Like, that's such a great pickup. No, sorry, not Jugs. Ryu. I'm getting I'm getting my Lithuanians mixed up. When has that ever happened?
All the time.
Yeah, like all the time. Ryu, like that's the whole point of this. Is like I believe with Monte they can be an upset. I believe with Astralis, Ryu can also be a team that actually qualifies for this LAN. He was so good on Monte on LAN against legit opponents. With a FaZe who's playing at the top of his game. I remember speaking to Kragen after he'd left Nine, they picked up Modo, and I was like, how'd you feel with like now Modo? And he was just like, I miss FaZe, man. Like Modo's good, but he's not FaZe. And I think that says a lot of like Astralis, they make a lot of mistakes. Copious amounts. This isn't a mistake.
Okay. Well, yeah. We'll leave it at that then. Astralis, an interesting pick. Some big signings. We're still not sure what exactly is happening, but yeah, I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Yumi, you've got back-to-back picks again. A favorite and an underdog left to select. Who do you like?
Oh god. I don't know why I haven't thought this far ahead. I'm just gonna go with M80 in the underdogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've kept the roster fairly consistent. They have now also acquired Jaba, who, if there was going to be a culmination of talent within the NA sphere, Jaba is one of those players that you should be keeping your eye on. But with Jaba Lake, as well as maintaining Switch, I actually like a lot of what's happened with M80. I feel like the team has always had good GMing. They've had good growth. They've given Sin time to refine his strat book and sort of change and chop pieces. They play fun Counter-Strike, to be honest. They amongst some of the more tactical calls, they have just like good flow state looking rounds from time to time that make this team more than just like, they're going to outstrat you or they're going to outmanipulate you. So they have competent riflers and a competent AWPer on this team. As much as Slacks isn't always a big needle mover, he does have these moments, and he comes up clutch in quite a few moments as well for this squad. So just this is a bit vibes based economy because they haven't actually done too much with Jabo on the roster, and they didn't do great in Frag Miami.
No.
They lose to Gamer Legion. But that's a small integration thing, I think, for me.
M80 are the classic American team of it's the hope that kills you. You see them you see them at Blast London qualify for the main event and then play like legitimately good Counter-Strike when they get there, but then ultimately crash out. You see them at the major going 3-0 in stage 1 and then also keeping up that trend in stage 2, but then crashing out. And also, I don't know if I see them as the second, as even the best American team. Sorry, Passion UA, I guess, like up there, and then you've got like NRG, M80. I think I see NRG's results, both head-to-head and then at the same events, NRG is looking like the better team right now. So, like, I like M80, but it's, again, they always just happen to disappoint me.
Yeah. No, you're right in that sense. They have had quite a few disappointing sort of endings, like moments. And
yeah,
I do think on the sum of it, I'd still give them the edge over an NRG because M80 have played into truly good teams far better than NRG ever have. It's just in terms of, yes, when it comes to beating North Americans, NRG are better at it. But I think the advantage that M80 have is that I do think they are a better, well-rounded team. The roles make more sense. The callers, I think, are a bit more intuitive, a bit stronger. They've got a better coach, I think, as well, which helps a lot.
The Hexed move is a little confusing.
I was going to get to that, because that's one thing I wasn't 100% on board with, because I'm a Hexed guy. Like, I've loved what Hexed did last year on M80. You know, the energy from him as well was great, but also just the way he played the role was impressive, considering, you know, the first time I saw him really take my eye was when he was on Evil Geniuses. Like, he was more of an opener on that team, and the fact that he's now just a hard anchor closer and clutch as all hell is amazing. And the one thing I know Jaba isn't from his wildcard stint is clutch and good under pressure and good against better teams, which is one of the things that, like, real good things Hexed brought to the team. Like, he added that extra dose of clutch, and you could believe in them playing Na'Vi. Now with Jaba, I'm like, okay, I now have to wait again, and I'm back to just looking at my watch, waiting for this kid to mature and bloom and manifest. Like, you've taken a step back, even if you do believe you have the stronger talent, because Jaba is magnificently talented. He just has a choking issue.
Yeah, Jaba will be good.
It's not a great move for today. Come the end of the year, we'll talk about it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think
in a lot of ways, it almost felt like Hex maybe, or if they were going to replace somebody on the roster for a Jaba, it should have probably been Swisher. If you're going to make that 1-to-1 move, you know.
Yeah.
Or Lake, but you just can't get rid of those pieces. Like, they're actually good.
No, can't get rid of Lake.
They're sort of like too good. Or Lake is too good for the pool of talent that's out there. Like, you can't leave that guy on the open market for North America.
I've got 2 points that do contradict each other.
Okay.
So, firstly, the Blast Open London online, they qualified through that. They took a map of Vitality, they beat VP, sure. They beat Na'Vi, and they beat Fnatic 2-0, and a very convincing 2-0. So, online, they've proven they can do an upset. That's history. They've done that. The counterpoint to all of that, however, is M80 are playing a LAN in America that is supposed to end 2 days before Blast starts. So I know not everyone plays on, because like Blast is quite a long format, right? Like it really fucking drags out, doesn't it? So I don't know when they exactly be playing. If they're going to be playing starting on the 12th. Oh, sorry, it's a day. It's quite literally a day, actually. So they're playing this like from Las Vegas. They're going to be in the finals unless they lose to a new Stanislaw boss. So Las Vegas is also West Coast?
Yes.
Yes,
it's not
Las Vegas
literally
is
on the
West
coast,
Coast,
but it's about as West Coast you can be without being.
But that's the point of it being in the furthest time zone away. I assume they're going to be going to the UK for Endpoint. They always go to the Endpoint HQ. But the whole point is of just like, that's not ideal for M80. That's a lot of Counter-Strike. That's a lot of traveling, a lot of disruption. And is Def going to be prepared enough? Is Sing going to be prepared enough? So I was given the point of like, look, they've done it online against these teams, but under very different circumstances.
NRG are also at that tournament, so
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if
that's
we-
also, yeah.
if we have to pick, it's like, okay, well, if I was going for a North American angle, okay, both of them are in that same situation. It's a little rough. But hey, I mean, the draft should be done by then.
Done on Friday.
Okay, I was gonna say the roster lock probably happens tomorrow because
Last
year it was
why
4
has
days
it roster
before.
lock? Like the roster lock for ESL is like a month beforehand.
Yeah, this one's 4 days before. I mean, last year it was 4 days. Like they announced the roster lock 4 days before. So, yeah. Well, we may be doing this episode a day too soon, unfortunately, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Listen, I hear the concerns. I see the issues, but M80 are just going to pray that their game is at least 3 days into the event.
Yeah, but also more importantly, just they have Sin, they have Lake, they have these quality pieces, which for an underdog, not everyone can claim they have. Not everyone has a rifler who, as a star, can go toe-to-toe with almost anyone. Not everyone has an IGL that we consider like actually kind of quality. Like we're talking about a lot more risky, a lot more unproven pieces on a lot of teams compared to guys
Monte.
like Sin.
You're talking about Monte.
No, we're actually talking about Bob XD.
We're talking about eyeballs, bro, but okay. On that note, Yumi, second pick. Are you taking eyeballers? I mean, they're an underdog, but I'll let you have them as a favorite if you really want to.
I think the rules will disallow me for doing that, so I'm gonna let that one be.
Don't take them off me, guys. Don't take them off me.
I'm going a little more rogue.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm going to
More
go
than
with
Astralis?
Parivision
Parivision.
as a favorite.
Okay.
Parivision as a favorite.
Wait,
I mean, I've always been.
Wait. You love Zwei now?
No. I never hated Jue. I will have this be on record. I may have incepted the idea that Jue didn't belong on Spirit. I'm fine with that. But I never said I hated the guy. He just wasn't fit for the roles. He wasn't fit for the team. They already had players that wanted to play slow, play late rounds. They had players that would bait and play in chaos. They had that fulfilled. Jue went into a magic-sized hole and tried to figure it out from there about how he played his style. On this Parivision, he gets to play that way.
Yeah.
Like AW, yes, he overperformed at the major, and it was maybe a little sad. It's like, oh, he did great at the major, guys, but you look at the rest of the year, it wasn't great. It wasn't pretty. Jue gets that extra room. Still has to throw a lot of util, fine. But he actually gets to play to his tempo more now, because he's got riflers that will run in headstrong and win sites. And maybe Jue's rating won't look great for a little bit, because all the way the Parivision win is by those riflers. But when he's called to clutch, he can actually develop that game under Parivision far more suitably than he ever could in Spirit. Alongside a Jame, all these front heavy riflers, this roster has so much firepower, actually. Like, that was the one thing that Jue didn't necessarily lack. But they've got a brain behind them. Like, they are a little headstrong at times, but they're not all firepower, no brain. I think there is a method to the madness here for under Jame.
For sure, that's why they did so well. And just to kind of pick up on your point about AW, it's like, that's why it's like, if anyone watched him in AmCal, you were like, this player deserves a call up. You see him get called to Parivision, you're like, this is deserved. The issue is exactly what you're saying, the roles. We weren't seeing the AW from AmCal in the AW from Parivision, and they have firepower, way too much of it. They actually need someone like Zwei. This move is actually, not gonna lie, this is actually a great pick, Yumi. Like, that's a really, maybe not this event.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think probably it will be, but it's just gonna get better and better. Like, that's a very good pick. I'm big fan of the pick. Once you start speaking about it,
even Spirit, like even my other favorite, both are maybe like just the vision I have for 2026 as opposed to this event right now. Because yes, they could both crash and burn directly at this event.
Like Parivision are also in form. This move seemed like it happened like not yesterday. A lot of these moves are literally happening right now. This move didn't happen last week. Like, it's been a bit more premeditated. And if you use the same argument you used for the Spirit with they've got signed approved, Parivision, they're in form from the major. The roles make more sense. They've got signed approved.
Yeah. I like a lot of what was happening is all.
This is an interesting one. I I actually agree that this way move makes more sense than having AW there, in a way. Because, I watched AW
Shame
on
for
AMCAL.
AW. It's a shame.
But I watched him on AMCAL, and then when I saw him join Parivision, I was like, how does that make any sense for AW? Like, let alone for the team. Like, for AW, it just doesn't make sense. Like, he's not... What, they're going to play like a 3-man death ball, literally, out of spawn? Like, maybe Belchnok throws a flash, James tries to win a 1v2 if it all goes wrong. Like,
Unlikely.
Is that going to be the strat? Like, come on. He's going to be playing roles that are just not suited to him. And that ended up being very real. He had a little... I think it's a bit harsh, considering he had this burst of clutching in the major that kept them alive in huge games, that I thought, if I was GMing, might have earned you a few months, but let's be real, when there's way on the table, he fits the roles better, you probably do end up making the move anyway. You just have to be like, yeah, sorry, mate, go add some value elsewhere, because, right here, we don't need another guy who can entry. We have Cielo, hard entry.
Be a bad GM.
We have Nota, Nota as a great pack rifler. We have a Belchanok who, shit at the major, but generally has been really impressive for us.
Very good.
We don't need this guy here. So, this way move makes sense. I think this is one of the tougher picks to make. So, credit to you if it works out, but they are, one of the worst rated sort of favorites here, like on the lower end. They're probably going to be an ideal target for a lot of teams looking to make upsets happen. I'm just a bit iffy on the game theory of picking them. I just have to give them their credit. They are a tidy looking team.
I wasn't sure if we made it to the double dip portion that I would be able to pick them.
We haven't yet.
Yes.
We're not in the.
I know. But I'm saying because I'm the last pick in that, I was like, I just want these guys in particular. So
yours are done now, Yumi. Your picks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yumi's done.
Can we get a run through of Yumi's picks?
Yumi has Spirit and Parivision as favorites, FUT and M80 as underdogs. Freddie, you have one more pick as well, so we're down to you in your underdog pick. Yes.
So wait, have you finished as well, Mr. T?
No, I'll have the last pick.
Okay, who have you got, T?
Vitality, Falcons, NIP.
I'll just put this in.
It's a bit BS. Okay, so I will say the FUT pick is an extraordinary pick from Yumi, and it was like I had first I was just gonna go FUT, but I was like, that's a bit too boring for my liking, If it's
and
my
now you
first
regret
one,
it.
no, because these are I've actually picked exactly who I wanted to pick, and I will be picking who I want to pick because I was like, it's my first, maybe even last time after this episode, so I may as well go out with a splash. I pick Eyeballers.
Oh, we actually fucking did.
Oh my god, we were talking about Bob XD this whole time.
You guys were fucking with him. You guys were talking about it, and I was like, wait, why are they talking about Eyeballers so much?
As a meme, entirely as a meme, because I have zero faith and belief. So please sell me this. Tell me how they're going to.
JW is back, and Bob XD is the best player ever, apparently, and is dropping silly numbers. The issue is, the one and only time I've cast them, they were actually really shit, and they lost to like Ormond. So I don't know why, but I love it. Maxter was the player that was always meant to be, but then never quite was, and apparently was a bit of a dick. But clean slate. This Eyeballers rosters. I remember I was in Sweden at an event when Eyeballers came back, and it was like this super exciting because Eyeballers was a 1.6. I don't know if people know the history of the organization, but it's a very legacy Swedish org. It got brought back by JW and Flusher, who is like, it was their org. Obviously, Flusher has since left. JW is like, if I'm paying, I'm staying. And this has been a team that has always been like really bad, like tragically bad. And it's not because they haven't had the pieces. They've had Pepsor, they've had Heap, they've had Poi, who's just gone to 100 Thieves and has been selected by many players. Heap, I'm waiting for him. The Alonso brothers, there's 3 of them. They're triplets. They're all professional players. Heap, ever since the Dignitas days, I'm waiting for him, but that's against the point. This has been a roster with Eyeballers. They've had the pieces, and they've always been really bad. I remember talking to Era about when he picked up Poi, and he was like, oh, we saw Poi playing on this dead team. He described Eyeballers as a dead team when Poi was playing on it. But and that was only the previous iteration of this roster. And this new roster, you know what? I didn't see this and think anything of it because a lot of these guys have played together before on a lot of different various rosters. They're all young Swedish guys who have mingled in different squads, prospects, young ninjas, etc. But hey, it's working. It's been a very short-lived, like it's literally been a month or something like that. They didn't even win their Swedish event. But the teams they've won to win some of these events, I think Bet Boom in 2 finals, and like on LAN, that was a very legit LAN win. That's like the one. And Bob XD has been playing to a level where it's like, where did that come from? Like genuinely, like insane numbers. Mix that with Maxter finally Maxter's playing, and I guess JW's the GOAT.
Oh, Lord in heaven. I thought I was escaped. I'm sorry. I have to. I thought I'd escaped.
I have very little to say about eyeballers because even they are approaching, top 30, and I should start paying more attention to them.
They are top 30.
Yeah. Well, they're like, aren't they 31st or something?
I think they were 33rd when the invites came out, and they made like a big hullabaloo on Twitter being like, please blast. Turns out 44th got invited. So I think they were fine. Enough
people declined invites.
Yeah.
So I don't have enough. I don't really have a lot to talk about, unfortunately. I want to say, like, I have watched a game where Bob XD has been great. I watched a game where Max has been great. I've not watched anything that says JW is back or that any of these other pieces on the roster are relevant enough.
Isn't this a fun storyline? Like, aren't we having fun seeing Pitta and JW in the year of 2026 playing a tier 1 event? Like, are we not enjoying this?
So this is the wrong place to make this case. I, every Monday, do a show with a Swedish journalist who doesn't shut up about Swedish CS and giving you all this copium bullshit about how eyeballers are actually really, really good, about how 100 Thieves are so delighted to have gotten the privilege of signing Poi. He's the next great player, about how everyone is in Sweden is the next great thing, and I'm so sick and tired of it. I thought I could escape it. I was memeing on eyeballers. You've gone and picked them. You believe in them as well. Like,
what did you prefer? I went for Hotu, or like, do you think like
Norman's great?
100%. We love Hotu.
I was actually going to go for Sinners, so I was very split between the Sinners and Eyeballers, and the reason why I didn't go for Sinners, despite Kisserect and Stress Rounds go, despite me loving them, B-Stick is just my favorite IGL in tier 2. The Modo pickup, I can't get past that. So that's why I went for Eyeballers instead of a Sinners, is just because I think Modo is so shit. Like, so incredibly shit.
Damn. Well, I would never go that far, but back on topic. Yeah, Bob XD has shown some pretty solid stuff. That's a very real thing. It's not like, some fiction that, Bob XD is now a star rifle. No, he has genuinely blossomed on this team into a star that he wasn't, quite frankly, on a lot of previous teams. It didn't impress me on Johnny Speeds. On 9 wasn't anything special either. It's when he's been on this exact roster that he's been this phenomenal. Go ahead.
The 9 roster, thank you. I completely forgot to talk about that. Unfair, very unfair. Bob XD wasn't the issue on 9, and I it somehow worked out more for him. It was a very much like Ejots replacing Bob XD. Like, why? Like, it was, you look at some of the roster moves 9 made actually, and you sit there and you're just like, why are we making these roster moves? Like, it doesn't actually really make fully sense. So I think that 9 conversation is actually like, I came away from that being like, why? That's just doesn't make sense to me. But hey, I guess it's worked out.
Yeah, they had Mantu on the roster, like, at one point. Like,
didn't he break his arm, though? Yeah, because he broke his arm. That's why he replaced him.
There was some weird stuff happening on that 19, but by himself, Bob XD didn't... I wasn't looking at that going, well, Bob XD is going to drop 115s and drop 120s on Saw. That's his average on
much more.
But yeah, he's had some massive runs. He's had some massive runs. And he's been fantastic. And yeah, he's a legit star player for them in these tier 2 events. Like, that's real. Maxter has stepped up massively. Like, he's looked like himself on the academy side. He looks more confident, more composed. Like, he was on the academy. That's what made people believe he could play on the main team, He was a solid decision maker with a decent bit of aim. Like, it made sense. The rest of the roster remains eyeballers. And that's been my problem in the past, is eyeballers, I watch them play on, like, there's multiple pieces here that genuinely don't move me. I can't pretend to say I see this fantastic calling. Like, what am I supposed to believe in the long run? Is it that you will replace everyone? Or are you just going to be a farm team where BobXD eventually gets picked up for a Swedish team that can actually win stuff? That was always my eyeballs impression.
Yeah.
They've had one of their best months, or /3 months, I think, recently, and that's caused this hype, called this rise. I'm not there. I'm not there. BobXD, keep playing like this. Show me against whichever top opposition you're stuck with that you can still hang and bang, not just the very underpowered Saw, who are technically your top 20 opponent from the last 6 months. Like, give me something to believe in, and I want to, but I currently can't.
I think the reason for my pick is just I've watched these guys for the last, I didn't even realize it was 3 years and 6 months since Eyeballers became a thing again. I've watched them so many times and they've just been so dog shit. And finally it's like, oh my God, finally, they're not only good, they've actually just qualified for a tier 1 event. And I got to give them their flowers. And also, man, they're going to be hungry. If we're talking about tier 1 teams not being too hungry, we're not talking about whatever, like some of these tier 2 teams like FUT, they've built up to this point, right? It's like they've been winning. They're not maybe like so eager. This is a tournament for Eyeballers. This is their major. This is the major for them. Like, no roster changes. They've come off such a high over 2025. They are playing this like it's their major grand finals.
I give that angle a lot of credence. Often, I feel like there's teams that build up into it, and like you said, they treat these opportunities, this is the major to them. I'm usually more confident in that.
Where's the
when the team plays sustainable looking Counter-Strike. And Eyeballers, as much as this iteration of the roster could be good, the previous iterations of the type of game that Eyeballers have played hasn't looked sustainable to scale up. Like, at least with FUT, I see the vision. It's a little bit sporadic. It can be a bit aggressive, a bit chaotic at times. But they always seem to rein it in at sort of appropriate moments. Eyeballers don't do that. Like, they engage in the chaos, and they just kind of live in it. And they sometimes scramble out some wins. Listen, they have been dog shit, but they have also been like a consistent top 50-ish team. From their inception, they just never really got past that. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it. It's basically like I get it. They've made it to a tier 1 event now when there's 32 teams and loads of teams didn't accept the invite.
Well, they were the one-off. Like they were literally the next one. So I think that's unfair for them. For someone like Static, yeah, they're very lucky to be here.
Sure, yeah. I wish it looked more stable prior to this so that I could be more inspired. This does look like they're just going to show up to this event and get banged out in the first round, which, there's a fair amount of teams that's going to happen to anyway, but I think Eyeballers are just another one of those cases.
Okay.
Yeah, on to the final pick of the main draft of this show. We do have a special bonus round to try and get some more teams selected, get them discussed as well. It's going to be me with an underdog. Now, I've looked around here, and there's some teams where, like, I don't even know which roster they're showing up with. Classic example, Fnatic. From what I understand, Blame F last links to Big, and that's going to be a thing. Like, so I don't want to pick a Fnatic without Blame F.
Would you want to anyways?
It's a hypothetical. Anyway. Moving on to, like, an Ents team who just signed Fiku and Krasnal. Like, don't hate it, don't love it enough to pick anyway. In a circle,
you love half of it, you hate the other half.
It could be said, yes. Yeah. In a circle, I'm not even sure they're showing up with Cairn. He's currently listed. There's a TBA who I think is Captain Kirka, but then we still have a gap to fill in. I don't really know what's going on with them.
That is Captain Kirka.
I don't know what's going on with them. 9, I don't have an official read on the roster as well. Static just made moves. I guess OG is like a complete roster that's existed before this window. Any Cadian believers? Raise your hands.
I think
you're not getting a reaction out of me. I don't want you to get straight into picking a team I might want.
No, but more importantly, I'm just expecting no one to believe because that's been the going narrative for like.
No, I believe in OG. I think I would have actually wanted to see Prison on OG more because I loved how OG built this like younger roster around Prison. Because everyone dogged on OG. That's like the cool thing to do, right?
Sure.
It's like, haha, everyone point and laugh at OG, but
We
they
love
actually,
dogpiling.
yeah, like of course, like, and again, their new logo is Gash. But the one thing that I think they did really, really well was when they brought in, was it at the start of the year for Chrism? No, it was last year. Yeah, like midway through last year, they actually built this like cool, sustainable roster, and it's obviously gotten more tier 1-y now. But I would have loved to see Chrism like actually thrive in that kind of environment. But obviously, he's moved on to bigger and better things. OG, they've actually got good management in the last like year. This is a roster where it has to do well. Spook was playing so good at one stage in like 2022. Everyone thought he was cheating. Like he's that good, you know? So like he has like this roster has to do well.
It has to, but I don't trust it to currently. And especially with the order of the draft they're going, like the place in the draft they're going to be in. No, they're getting creamed. So I feel like I'm going to make a pick here that's definitely not going to reap rewards. I'm not even that big of a believer in it. But I have to kind of have some philosophy in my life. Like, so certain things I do think are important for winning Counter-Strike games. One of them's an IGL. Give me Gentlemates.
I knew it.
Okay. Fair enough. Obviously.
As soon as he said an IGL, I was...
An IGL and an AWP can shoot. Two things eyeballers don't have. I have on Gentlemates. That's kind of the logic. That's my rationale. That's the sort of thing I believe in. Do I think Daddy G's fantastic? No. Do I think Mopos has proven he can hang still? No. I don't even think Sorsol's been that special. He's been actually a bit disappointing. But with the calling, with an AWPer, with their spot in the draft, there's a good chance they can get an upset against like a questionable VP. Actually, no, VP of 15 Veras, fucking hell. Against a questionable, I don't know who it is. It's going to be. There's a lot of questionable teams. Like a Liquid, hell. Liquid were able to lose to literally anyone at some points last year, and they've not looked that much better. So screw it. I'm going to take a Gentlemates pick here. They are not a very thrilling team in terms of the individuals. Martinez is a quality, I think, piece, and that's about it. But they call well. They have good chemistry. They've managed to get some sort of cheeky upsets before, not under this banner, but this could be their first. This could be the thing that, this year, this is the event that Alex inevitably made a solid run at and that maintained his standing in the scene for another 6 to 8 months, build another Spanish roster, try again. He doesn't have quite the hit rate in terms of frequency as like a Muterus, in terms of bollocks with nobodies. But when he does, he hits for a lot longer, typically because he has a great AWPer to rely on, and that's what Martinez is for me in terms of at least this level of play. Not loving any of the picks that were left. I think Gentlemates is the best of a bad bunch for me personally.
Gentlemates, you can't get around the fact they just won so much last year. They did so much winning. They put pen to paper. Sure, a lot of those tournaments would be if, buts, and maybes. Dude, they went around the world and they won. Fair play. And a lot of them with Smooya. Fucking Smooya at one stage with Fuzi, and then finally with Martinez. They were unorged, because what's so impressive about the Iberian Soul, they were so bad at the end of 24, at the start of 25. I was like, lads, let's hang it up. You all had a good run. Like, let's please just go. And they 24, they started the year with Copenhagen Major. They had a good run at a LAN, the Fire League, Flow Fire League. They get like finals, they won it. They did a good run at Pro League, and then from the half point of 24 to the half point of 25, it was just like they had no org. They weren't playing well. It was like, this is actually painful. And then boom, there was the renaissance of just like win.
And you know what started
Martinez,
it all?
Org, Alex,
Epic LAN.
It was actually unfortunately, okay. I'd love to say it was Epic LAN. There's a little bit before Epic, but yeah, Epic LAN with Smooya. They had the org backing for a while before it was announced. Like it's a cool roster where I hope they don't stagnate. They've got to this level, and they've obviously proven they can play at a higher level. But I see a lot with rosters of like, they've slowed down a little bit. Are they going to be able to pick themselves up after they've slowed down at the end of last year?
Yeah, it's the same conversation with NIP, right? It's like the grind up is one thing, and that takes a lot of endurance to do, but there's another level you have to reach once you're in that top 30, top 40 conversation, really. So, yeah, honestly, Gentlemates aren't a bad pick. I think they do have
Very good
components that
pick.
can win you games at times, and there's tactics. You know, Alex does like a cheeky gimmick call, some late mid round thing. You know, sometimes Mopos can be a fact. Sometimes. Very rarely these
the
days.
initial thing they built their entire identity on was T-side Mopos entry.
Go do things, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
But they've had their map pool continuously shrunken. You know, they were also a big Vertigo team. Then did they pivot to Anubis? I'm pretty sure they did.
I don't remember it, but you could be right. I'm not going to pretend I know their story back to front.
They pivoted to Ancient. I think they actually might have ignored Anubis. I don't know. It's like the maps that they used to play as like fringe picks became the popular options, or they were taken out of the pool. So I don't know. I actually like Gentlemates. Like they were perennially the team we had to talk about when we dove into the very bottom of the underdogs, being like, how are they here? And also, how have they actually been as good as they are? Because they have been surprising on that front.
Yeah,
they deserve to get dropped by Movistar when they did, you know?
Oh, 100%.
Highs then lows, like dramatically.
Coin or whatever it was.
I genuinely was like, pack it in, lads. Like there was that point where, because what was crazy was when they were still a part of Movistar Koi. So from the midpoint of 26 to the end, so midpoint of 24 to the end point of 24, they played 86 maps. And I remember this figure quite distinctively because I casted them in their like final tournament of the year, and I was like, they still exist. And I was like, wait, how much they played? And it was like, they've literally played 80 maps in half a year. Teams play 400 maps in half a year, and it wasn't like they were playing tier 1. They weren't playing tier 1. They weren't playing tier 2. They just weren't playing the game. And it's like, oh, they were not playing. When they did, it was very bad. And it was like, yeah, actually, I'm really to this day shocked that under Iberian Soul, when Alex came back in after a stint of NIP, that they rebuilt. It's to me one of the most untalked, like, that happened. Like, they didn't firstly disband, no one retired, and they built back up. Like, fair play.
Yeah, that's yeah. Just looked at their CV and went, fuck, we gotta try again, boys.
And they did, and it's just it's crazy because it's just the exact same people. Once it's like it's not like it was a different Spanish roster. It's just the same roster every time.
Yeah,
it's Martinez back from Latin America. Okay, we can try again. Like, maybe we don't have to work at McDonald's. We can get this going.
They did the progression that they did with Mopoj, but sorry, not Mopoj, with Sampaius. But they like accelerated it. So like they even brought Smooya back for a few events. And it's like, we remember rising with this guy once upon a time.
Smooya's the hitman of Counter-Strike. He will come in at any time. NIP, Sashi, Gentlemate. He's the hitman of Counter-Strike. He'll come in, he'll drop a 1.40, and then you don't want to play with him again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought we'd now move on to our little final picks, these sort of bonus picks. But I thought of a good way to do it, because there was some complaints about the order, just sticking to the order. Lads, if you'd like to look at Discord, I've created a wheel. We're going to spin a wheel. The wheel will decide who picks where.
Why are we spinning a wheel?
To decide, instead of using the natural snake draft order, because I do realize it becomes all of a sudden good to be first pick, and we can't be allowing first pick to be good.
Oh, okay.
We're going to just do this, have a little spin. Let's see who wins. And that person will get to go first on this matter.
I love gambling.
Oh, of course,
it's me.
rigged.
Oh, it's rigged. It's rigged.
Of course it's rigged.
He just decided to pull this wheel out of nowhere.
Respin.
Womp womp. Sucks to be you guys. Yeah, I'll remove my name and we'll go for between you two afterwards, and you guys can complain about that as well. I get another bonus pick, and I'm kind of miffed about all this.
Sorry, actually, wait. Before we get, is this a bonus pick of just like whatever favorites, just a vibes, whatever?
Yeah, whatever you like. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not very interested in the underdogs that are left. I don't feel like being creative. I don't feel like being interesting. I didn't win last season after 2 back-to-back wins, so I'm trying hard, really trying hard. And I've got to pick between essentially FaZe and Na'Vi and Aurora. I think those are the 3 teams I'm kind of looking at.
You're putting Aurora in that bracket?
In terms of raw firepower and online game, yeah. This is why they were in the final of Bounty Season 1 last year. It's not Not because they fucking outthought anyone. They just shot people good.
We don't
They
underestimate
outshitted
Seth on his
everyone.
peak.
Exactly.
They outshitted everyone.
They outshot. Let's be real. Na'Vi, I keep seeing some bullshit rumor that I'm convinced is pure nonsense that Senzu's going to replace Alexi B. I keep seeing that. I keep going, who does Blade? If Blade has actually gone and done that, if you have done that, fire yourself. Like, that is the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard.
It really is one of those ones where it's just like, pardon? What?
There better be, and there was, thankfully, some Cyrillic in that tweet. And there was. So I'm like, good. It's some Russian leaker bullshit. There's no way that's true.
Oh, it's funny,
I'm
man.
sorry,
It's
that can't
funny.
be the case. If it is, again, Blade, fire yourself. So I'm between FaZe and Na'Vi here. And I do think, honestly, Senzu to Na'Vi is an idea I've considered. Not for Alexi, obviously, because I'm a sane, rational human. But I'm just going to take FaZe. On this basis, I think they have two of the actual best 5 riflers of 2025. In terms of actual ability, impact on the server, 2 of the best 5 riflers of 2025. Not FlameZ, HLTV. Terrible fucking placement at 7. These 2 guys are just so fucking good, so sharp, so crisp, and just so tier 1. Like, they play like stars at the highest level should, for their roles especially, given that they don't actually have that much overlap. They do like distinctive styles, and they play them both excellently. And we saw that in the fragging numbers, we saw that in the eye test, we saw that in the complete bullshit run they were able to manufacture out of a team that didn't have great calling, didn't have great AWPing. One of his best events in the end with Brokey was that event, but he also did manage to hit historic lows during the latter end of 2025. And had a rookie who could win pistol rounds, but after that, what was he even doing here?
I mean, he was pretty good. I mean, he was pretty good.
He had a
even
couple
outside of
moments
pistol
in the
rounds,
group stage of the
yeah.
major, but like realistically, wasn't that great in the playoffs, even when they were winning. So I'm giving a lot of the credit to Frozen and Twist. Those 2 inspired many picks from me last year. Like towards the end of the second half of the year, I'm like, I'm going to keep picking FaZe because these 2 just keep playing that well. Times it worked, times they weren't able to overcome the big deficiencies of the roster. But going into this event, I think teams are going to want to pick them. If you're like picking between the top 4, you're going to want to pick FaZe over Falcons, Furia, and Vitality. But you will, I think, more likely than not, get blown out the server. Those 2 are lethal. I have a lot of respect for them. I put them ridiculously high in my top 20 to the point where I got a lot of people like, oh, I'm a FaZe fan, but still, like, oh, yeah, sure you are. I'm sure you're whatever FaZe, whatever team fan you want to be whenever you want to make your pithy little comment. I genuinely do believe in this team a lot. Will they win this event? No. Will they make it out of the online phase comfortably?
You'd hope so. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob is... I always thought he was like very maligned. Everyone just was like, "Oh, Rain, my heartthrob. He should have been playing the major."
He did.
Me. Yeah. It's classic though. I mean, especially for a player with as much legacy and history as Rain. I understand the fanfare, but Rain needed to go. And Jacob didn't seem like a suitable replacement. But he's a young guy. People just don't give, people don't give rosters time anymore. We've got like this whole, the rookies have to be insane in the first 3 months.
2025 was a bad year to be a rookie, though, wasn't it? Like, in terms of the level of expectation set.
Exactly. It's like, you think 24 was bad, and then every year after that's followed so far has been like, oh, wow, we just have completely irrational expectations for every rookie ever. So he's always going to grow into the role. And yeah, FaZe have really, really strong riflers. I mean, Frozen Twist, what more can you say?
I'm going to just go to the point of like, everyone who is an analyst and these big boys, they don't watch Counter-Strike. They watch the same 20 teams, and if those and anyone outside of that 20 team, that purview, they're just like, well, I don't know who he is. It's like, I remember when Tanir got called up, and everyone's like, how do I even pronounce that name? And I'm like, do you watch, like, do you not pay attention? Like, Jakob gets called up, and it's like, why do we not know who this guy is? Like, he's been playing fantastically on an Apogee roster that wasn't good. If you watched him, I remember vividly the first time I saw him, or the first time I was like, okay, it was Anubis, and he plays T-side connector, he plays a connector control. He was just bullying them, and it was against like a Monte-esque team, like a decent team, and he was just harassing them. And I was watching, and I was like, okay, this guy's good. He's not only got great aim, but he understands how to play his positions. And every single time a youngster gets moved up, it's the same ring around the rosy of like, who is this guy? Oh, his first game, he doesn't drop 40. Oh, well, he's bad unless he's Kaisuke or Donk or whatever. And it actually really pisses me off. I think Jakub is so good. I think he's really a fantastic player. When I saw him go to FaZe, it was one of those things where I was like, yes, another guy that I thought was going to make it through tier 2, made it through tier 2. And he proves it. But then it's like, wait, he doesn't do it every single time when he's got the best players in the world around him. It's not really his role to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he played completely different roles. Like,
Yeah,
That's the important thing. Like, they did
Yes.
fuck up his roles for the first 6 events. Like, that's why I only
Yeah,
talked
and-
about the major run, because the major run was the one where they looked most like what he was supposed to be doing.
And just look at like who he was playing on Apogee. Like he was not playing major finals. Like it was actually a roster that notoriously didn't do very well. Like it had the odd run here or there. They went to a Fragadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. Like they actually didn't do very well. They were very much like a closed qualifier, CCT, low playoffs team at best. And he was in that roster vandalizing people. And it's like, it's a big jump up, change of roles in a team where he could just do whatever he wanted and get away with it. It's hard to jump up from that.
Yes, and the angle I always go with is Brokey was far less qualified than Jakub was to be called up to FaZe. And Brokey has been on this roster for 6, coming on to his 7th year. So
on Brokey, he wasn't even an AWPer.
Yeah.
He was a rifler.
Yeah, that whole thing was... It was funny because I remember at the time as well having, like, making takes and talking to people about it. Like, Brokey was AWPing on FaZe and playing the spots the second AWPers would play. And that was just like, if there was ever a greater sign that this was like a crazy move, it was that.
And the idea that, like, oh, just because Nico's vouched for him, who is, top 5 player within that time, and it's like, yeah, therefore he must be brilliant. It's
Well,
like
he's a pro.
I know, but nobody's gone to bat for Jakub, and except
no,
Carrigan, Carrigan's bad, so like we don't.
There was someone. There was 100% someone who picked Jakub last year as a bold prediction. YouM3 picked Jakub last year as a bold prediction, and like it's one of these things where it's like, if you'd actually like, because there's such a big gap and void in Counter-Strike of, this is tier 1, this gets all the views, this is what everyone watches, and then outside of those top 16 teams, drop. And honestly, it's the biggest pet peeve I have of like all these guys talking like they know Counter-Strike. No, you know top 16. You know no one else below that.
Yeah, which is modern meta, which is, how a lot of other teams underneath them are going to form their play styles as well.
I believe the meta forms, back in ESEA Advanced back in the day, that was where the meta was formed.
Yes, yeah. I mean, new metas were made in tier 3. Genuinely new metas are made in tier 3 and tier 2, but the meta and like how to stay consistent is tier 1, which is what most people care about.
All these tier 1 teams watch tier 2 and tier 3 demos to see what they're doing and how they play certain maps.
Oh yeah,
when
they
Train came out
stuff all the time.
Yeah, all the nades come from tier 2 and 3. Train is still a map where it's still evolving, but it's very, very slowly evolving. And no one looks at a tier 1 team and is like, how have you evolved this map? It's mostly, how's Prestige evolved this map or whatever, or Ecstatic.
Yeah, it's like tech companies. The first to innovate, everyone just steals their ideas and then tries to make their team better, which is fair. Anyway, spin the wheel.
Let's spin the wheel. Let's see who's getting the next pick. It is still working, right? We're all still sharing, seeing it.
Yeah. I know Yumi's not going to pick mine, so I don't really care who goes first.
Well, good thing it's Yumi who's going next.
Oh,
so
boy,
who's your bonus pick?
That's a great question. I even want... I'm doubling down on an underdog. I'm going OG.
That's
Jesus.
Boring. Boo. Boo.
What the hell? I just look at the components on this team and I just think they cannot be shit. I know we talked a little bit about them earlier on, and we were saying like, they're looking. Do we believe in Cadian? Flamus is coming. It's looking good. There's Arozdo. You got Spook. You're talking about him being suspected of cheating. There is there's a lot of different.
It's a
pieces
long
to
time
this.
ago, by the way.
Yes,
I'm not
yeah,
actually
long
saying
time
he's
ago.
cheating.
No, I know.
He just got really good really quickly out of nowhere.
Just like how people thought Rops was cheating once upon a time, and been like,
he
oh well,
literally was just because he got very good.
yes. So I mean, I look at what the roster is constructed to be, and I think they'll make it. And maybe, to be honest, I reflect on all of my picks so far in this draft, and I realize I might just be putting markers down for like how I think the year might go on. Like all these teams are like maybe growth projects as opposed to right here, right now. But I'm happy to see Flammus back in the server. I want to see this guy bang heads and play in actual teams instead of like the weird amalgamation of miscreants that are all sat on a bench. Like I'm
Pro.
I'm so glad that he's back on an actual team, and we might be able to see Flammus play his roles like he was designated to be, because he never got that respect on Virtus Pro.
One of the fun things that come from these Biok events where you're like in Stockholm and there's literally like hundreds of people there is you'll be in the toilets during when the maps end, and you're at the urinals and you look to your right and you've got Flammus to one side, look to your left, you've got Cade on the other side, and you're just like, what? What's going on? How have I got here?
Take a little peek.
Yeah. Nice.
That's how I'll evaluate my Counter-Strike team.
Anyways, urinals aside.
Yeah.
Yes, back to actual Counter-Strike. No, the OG pickup it's one of those things where I look at the roster on paper and I feel some of what you feel in terms of like, this has to work. I always remind myself that I'm like, I don't really think Adam B is now optimally suited for the roles he's in, because he's now got to not be an aggressor in quite the same way. It kind of makes it awkward in terms of the balance between him and Spook as well. But look, that Flammus is a talented rifler, and they've given him the openings and the leash, or the lack of leash really, to go and do the things he was doing so well on Gamer Legion before that, and all those other like lesser known rosters,
which is good.
I have already a limited sample. Like I have a month of play from this team. Technically, a month together, there's like 2 events, and it's just not filled me with confidence. I needed them to not drop a map to Infinite. Romanian mix of dubious origin who no one's ever heard of. I have more to add to fuel to the fire. The group stage of that event wasn't on HTV. They lost map 1 to Astral, and then second map they won in overtime. Astral's that like new Baltic mix. Oh, them, yes. I mean, they've been a shockingly good team recently.
OG, I think OG, they won their group. They almost got dropped into the lower bracket. Like Astral, I thought they were going to lose.
Yeah, that's mad as well. I didn't even know about that off the top. Like, I could have looked it up, but I didn't. You know, they dropped a map to Venom, lost to Monte.
It's actually quite hard to find.
Yeah, lost 2-1 to 500 in online play, and I'm like, I'm not like a hater of some of these teams. It's just at the same time, if I want OG to be my underdog darling in an event, they've got to win those games, because they're going to have to beat a far tougher gauntlet of opposition to make it happen. I don't see it happening. I wish I saw it happening immediately out of the gates. Maybe there's down the line, an AWP and IGL change, something comes in to make better use of what I think is a very potent trio of riflers. I just don't think right now this is the mix.
But they've got tier 1-ish core.
Yeah.
So,
well, like they have a top 15
that
team.
does have value. Yeah.
They've also got a great coaching staff of Lambert and Killerzoo, and then also, in my opinion, like the best manager of Vladislava. Like their support stuff of OG, I think, has been refined and has been very legit since, as I was kind of mentioning, that like when they started picking up Crizzen. So at this like midpoint of 24 is when you started to really see like OG as an organization turn around. And I think this is kind of the pinnacle of that now. If they haven't just picked up recycled tier 1 talent, kind of, but they have like the likes of, you know, Adam B and Spook. And I think it was interesting hearing you guys kind of say like Adam B, you're like, I see this as the moment where an Adam B thrives. You know, we've seen Susp have his moment. It's time for the twin to have his.
I think Adam B's talented. I think he's skilled. I just don't like. My concern is with the fit alongside Flammus. Like,
as
on Metasport, he's the most aggressive. You know.
Yeah. Has Flammus Adam B?
In a way, I mean, Adam B's numbers were fine in the first event they played together, where he's like clutching, trading, less, less point of attack. So maybe it'll work out fine. It's just that's my concern. It's not my concern that Adam B can't shoot. I've watched the guy play, like in a variety of teams. He can shoot. It's just, I don't know, the roles are a bit questionable.
But maybe he's
that's
actually
fair.
a more complete player than we give him credit for. Because I think that's what we create a picture.
Sus turned out the same way, right? Susp was a point of attack, hyper active guy, became an anchor basically on Metasport, played fantastically in those spots.
Yeah.
And then got cut because Metasport are very poorly run.
Those two were the I remember casting Susp when he was 17, and I think he stood in for ITB. It was very random. And I open up his Liquipedia and I see his picture and I'm just like, no, definitely not 17. Like full sleeve tattoo, like hunt.
There's a grown ass man.
I was like,
just too handsome.
You have like 2 children and you've been divorced. Like there's no way you're literally underaged. But yeah, no, I mean this OG roster, I think as boring as it is, they should be a top 15 team. Like there's kind of no two ways about it of like,
no pressure, lads.
Man,
You're only 50th right now.
Why is this guy slating my underdog picks? Like, boring. Foot.
It is boring.
OG.
It is boring. It is boring. Like
I used my extra pick on them instead of a favorite. What do you mean?
They like it is a team where it's just like, yeah, okay, like of course they're gonna. Or if like also you were saying how they lost at like the Stockholm event in CCT. I'd prefer they get the losing done then, and then kind of have that. I think it's actually very good to get that moment of a little bit of loss, come back.
I'd rather just win, especially when the opposition are trash relative to my top 15 status. I'm going to be.
I
keep it
also
real.
just want to win, but sometimes losing is positive. Sometimes you need to lose to win.
Also, they are like probably last in the draft. Like
They're
last or second
OG.
last. They're 50th on VRS. Like they are kind of stuff.
There.
They got
no. So before them is Ecstatic, Sinners, Monte, VP, Fluxo aren't there, right?
No, someone else.
Ents, 9, OG, 7th last. So they're right back in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, maybe they.
When is this ranking from?
I think
I have
be a
it
month
from
ago.
the GitHub.
Yeah, but it's more about when they actually took the line, like when they actually stopped.
December. It just says
Yeah.
December.
When
must
they
be
do
early
it.
December.
Actually no. December 1st.
Yeah, early December. That's why
Wow.
OG are higher than I expected them to be. Because
Yeah.
VRS currently they're 50th. Like they're not getting a good pick. But okay, yeah. OG, boring pick. Yumi, I mean, they have pieces that make sense and talent. So why would you pick them? Freddie, show us how it's done.
I'm really gonna show you how it's done.
You can't pick Ryu. Or the TV might join.
Yeah. Ryu is. I wish I could pick him. Is there any more Lithuanians I could pick? Oh fuck, you really got fur. Okay. I wasn't ever gonna pick these, and I think this is exactly where the special 5th pick comes in. We all know and love him. 3rd best rated player of the year. Pain Gaming, with the introduction of VSM and Furia Jr., who was also the 12th best player of 2025 statistically. Pain have gone. Okay, what went well last year for teams in our region? Furia. GM just went, Molodoy, big stats, let's pick him up. And they've just gone, VSM, Furia Jr., you both play the exact same roles.
Yeah.
Exact same roles. Neither of you have any accolades because the teams around you were absolute dog piss. But statistics, firepower, big boom firepower, and VSM, Tropper to VSM. If anyone doesn't know, actually mind-boggling how well, like he would be dropping 1.6, 1.7, 1.5 every single game, and they would lose. It was mental.
Yeah, the mix between him and Furia is what needs to be figured out. I said this before the show even went live, I think. I think the blend for them is VSM takes fewer openings, is less of an aggressive playmaker, and goes back to some of his more lurkier roles from way back when, like back when he's on like Oplano and all that kind of stuff. But who knows? They could do it differently. They could figure something else out. But it is a fun little pick. I'll give you that. You've managed to pick favorite, and it's one of the more fun ones. Like they're signing, you know, in VSM, the energy, the infectious smile, the little jiggles and dances. Like he was great to watch back in like we're talking, what was that damn event? Flashpoint. Like it's that far back we're going, but it was great. And he did absolutely dumpster everyone last year. Like sure, he's dumpstering a dumpster region, but he did it. And he did it to a crazy extent.
Just look at their event ratings and how far they got. They were literally getting knocked out in like quarterfinals every event. They didn't do well. And yet he's like every single game. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. So greenest stat page and whitest teeth in Brazil.
Oh man.
And the real heartbreaker for VSM is that, you know, amongst the Flashpoint era, you know, when he started to come back, you know, he was VAC banned. He couldn't play. Yeah, he was allowed to compete at Valve events from 21, I think. And teams just didn't necessarily. I mean, some teams gave him a chance, but it seemed like
he was on MIBR, wasn't he?
I think it was Fluxo.
When he came over, it was 2023, 2022. No, yeah, 22.
He did.
He came over to Europe.
He was on Fluxo in 2022, yes. Only for about 4 months.
Nation.
But it was Zero Nation.
I'm talking about Oplano.
Oplano.
Oplano and Zero Nation. Yeah, when like it looked like something was gonna happen, and then just nothing happened.
Yeah, they were fun. They were a weird bunch of personalities, a bit eclectic. Like there's the VSM, there's KNG. Like we're talking.
It was very like this is fun. Yeah, like this is cool. Not it's actually good.
The cool thing about what might be happening though is that, from my understanding, VSM is not even like he's not signed. He's a free agent, which is, you know, to have players of high caliber in Brazil not be tied down to a contract where the buyouts are ridiculously expensive is
it's
actually
like
this. Yes, I mean this is an opportune moment for Pain. If they get both Furia and VSM, that actually it genuinely could be crazy. Yes, I see the vision, but
and then
now this will be interesting.
No, it's just amazing. It's the best pick ever you ever had on this show. But to go away from Parivision and VSM, they've still got Snow, who's turning into like, you know, one of the best players ever. Not ever in the world. You've still got Bigger Zero, who finally made it through to that major playoffs, and you've also got an NQZ, who best AWPer in Brazil, best AWPer in South America.
Most consistent AWPer in Brazil, I'd say.
I'd say definitely the best in Brazil. South America, yeah. Americas?
No. I'm a Try guy. I'm not interested.
Okay,
as much as everything's disappointing about Try's roster and the results around him, Try is still better than NQZ. I don't care. I'm not that bothered about everything else. The eye test, it just works.
I'd say he's the most consistent AWPer in...
I'll allow it. Yeah,
South America.
In the Americas would be fun.
So yeah, good. Yeah. You got the firepower, you got the pieces, and you've also just got this can be really fun.
Yep. Yeah, can't wait for it. They will be fan favorites, I think, straight out the gates, and I'm sure we'll endlessly talk about them all year long. That'll annoy me. They won't make any real runs again. God damn it, I hate you, Pain.
Expect Snow to suck. That's all I'm saying. Expect Snow to suck.
No.
Yeah, are we gonna get Snow from when he first joined and he was just kind of pushed to the side?
Bro, if you have Furia and VSM running around, you are not doing anything.
Not doing anything.
You're playing
like a
reserved
quarter
anchor.
of. He's like the quarter of the size of VSM, just as a person.
Volume, he's like a tenth. He's just not.
What a way to end it there. What a way.
1/10 the volume. Yeah, we end on a bit of maths and a slight diss. You know, whatever. Who cares? Snow's just not been good. Snow's just not been good. But that's going to be the show. If you're watching this live, thank you. I mean, quite a few members bothered to tune into this and not wait for the full release. But if you're watching the full release, yeah, consider becoming a member. You get access to this sort of stuff just all the time. Thank you, Freddie, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Your picks have been interesting. And yeah, we'll see you next time for the LAN portion of this show.